How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
Eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital.
That's difficult to answer.
this the end? There's a noise inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. This is the final fight. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. This is the final sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? Travel the world and the seven seas. Everybody's looking for something. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to be out you.
Won't anybody help us? What are we running for? When there's nowhere we can run to anymore. We can't afford to be innocent. Stand up and face the enemy. It's a do or die situation. We will be invincible. And with the power of conviction, there is no sacrifice. It's a do or die situation. We will be invincible.
Who the fuck is Karlyn? She's just some sweet lady. She's like in a knitting. She does like a knitting stream. She's like a knitting YouTuber. She does knitting.
Can we grow up a little bit and
Alt
not
Girl
be
sent $200.
retarded?
Have you
Please.
seen the work of Karlyn Borysenko? Anti-commie cult leader and is obsessed with looking at what actual far-left communists are talking about and organizing today, infiltrating them. They infiltrated the universities, schools, media. She has the receipts to back it up. Primary source evidence. Infestation is dire and she calls Republicans idiots eating slop. Agree.
Thank you for the big super chat. Yeah, oh, I know Karlyn B. She's solid. She's funny. I
The
like
great
her.
noticer sent $200.
Literally.
So
Not
it's,
Ian.
it's not because I haven't dangled my junk into the combat zone on purpose to get some camera footage, but that's the big part of what's the
Is
problem.
that what you call reporting?
Go
and live
under, if
streaming?
you're going to do it,
Yeah,
go
seriously.
undercover. Otherwise you're wearing a hunk of meat in a lion's den. Nick Shirley, I love you. Take care of yourself, man. Karlyn Borysenko went undercover. Do stuff like that. Like if you want to expose this thing, don't pariah, please.
But Ian, here's and I agree with you to an extent.
If you take your top lip and connect it to your bottom lip, you will shut the fuck up. Sometimes shutting the fuck up is the best thing you can do.
What's up, everyone? What's up? What's up? What's up? Happy Wednesday. How are you all doing on this glorious, glorious, glorious Wednesday? What's up, guys? Hey, so originally on the stream today, we were going to do the highly entertaining thing, and we still are probably going to do this at some point. Hang on. Why does my sound funny? Hang on. Stand by. One moment, please. I still had my sound set up from the spy stream we did last night, and it just sounds weird to me when I do that, so I'm turning that off so I can actually hear my... Ooh, that's better. That's better. Now I can actually hear myself. Awesome. As a reminder, I am a professional streamer on the internet. Never doubt my... never have any doubt about my absolute professionalism being a professional streamer on the internet. Anyway, so originally today we were going to go back and watch a city council meeting that happened in Arizona last night, where apparently a lot of leftists went to testify at this city council meeting in Arizona against ICE. And I was like, you know what? That actually sounds like a pretty entertaining thing to watch. That actually sounds like a pretty see, I sound better now, right? Because I had to turn off the thing that connects it to the Zoom that makes it sound weird. It's a whole rigmarole. We're back. We are back to the studio microphone now. Anyway, we're totally going to do this. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. Maybe we'll do it on Friday. We are absolutely going to watch this city council meeting at some point. However, I last night I found out that our good friend Antifa Kyle has given an interview. Now, if you haven't been following along with Antifa Kyle's antics over on Instagram, he also goes viral quite regularly on Twitter, partially because I post his videos there whenever basically he posts something. Antifa Kyle is this guy, the Arrows guy. Yes, the Arrows guy. Antifa Kyle is a guy in Minneapolis who says he's an Antifa, and he pulls down his shirt when he says it. He shows his Antifa tattoo. And, you know, the thing of it is like, I think it can be pretty easy to look at this guy and say, he's a fraud, he's a fed, like whatever. And he might be both those things, he might be. But I've watched quite a bit of his content now. And I think the most interesting thing that we watched was, I think, the protest weekend where they took over that several block radius in Minneapolis. And Antifa Kyle was going to the Antifa takeover of downtown Minneapolis. And he was handing out gas masks, and he was live streaming it as he was doing it. And we were watching the live stream on my protest coverage. Yes, he is also a queer Marxist, totally. And one of the things I found so compelling about that live stream was everyone there knew him. He was friends with everyone. And so the thing of it is though, yes, Antifa generally doesn't like being filmed. And I'm rather shocked, honestly, that they allowed him to walk through their little Antifa encampment with a video camera. That is extremely unusual. But they all knew him. All the people that were doing all the barricades and the street takeovers and the fires and the, you know, putting their fists in the air and calling each other comrade, they all knew him, and they were all friends with him, and they all liked him. And he was handing out gas masks to everyone. And so I'm kind of like, when I saw that, I was like, this guy might actually be real. Like, he might actually be legit. And of course, and I'm not going to show them on the stream because I just don't care to. Of course, people are, putting pictures up of Kyle cross-dressing because Kyle is queer. And if you don't know about queer Marxism, that is a whole other topic for a whole other day. We cover queer Marxism pretty extensively on the channel. I have a very large back catalog of queer Marxist content on the channel. We will be covering it extensively into the future. I'm writing 2 books on it and all this stuff. And so that's something we'll talk about another day. But Kyle really does, apart from the excessive use of social media and apart from like filming other people in Antifa, but they let him film them because they all knew him. It like, apart from those 2 things, I'm kind of like, this guy might actually be legit. If for no other reason, then here, I'll try to find a video where he does it. Maybe it's, you can't hear the sound, but let me just tune in the sound so you guys can actually hear it. If you've never heard Antifa Kyle before.
Kyle, I'm Antifa, and I'm back.
Hang on, I'm going to do that again so you can actually hear the sound.
My name's Kyle, I'm Antifa, and I'm back.
So when he pulls down his shirt, he is displaying that is an Antifa symbol. The 3 arrows are an Antifa symbol, okay? And so between the fact that he does legitimately have Antifa tattoos, a tattoo is a big commitment, guys. I have many of them, and you know what? Listen, I may have some silly tattoos, and I do have silly tattoos. I don't regret any of them, but like, I would never, even if I tattoo something silly on myself, I would never tattoo something on myself that doesn't have some sort of meaning or isn't important to me, like even from like a nostalgia point or something like that. It was important to me at the point of my life where I tattooed it on. And so the fact that he has an Antifa tattoo on his chest, that's like, okay, you know, that takes some commitment. Also, that's a really painful area to get tattooed. You're talking about doing it on top of like your rib cage. That's really fucking painful. So there was some level of commitment to that symbology on his body. Also, everyone knows him. So he gave an interview, and I don't know anything about this channel, DJUTV. He gave this interview that got posted 4 days ago. It's only got a couple thousand views. And you guys can't see what I'm talking about. There we go. And so I thought we could watch this interview because I actually do want to hear this guy talk. I want to figure out if this guy is for real or not. I think this guy fucking loves attention. And I think this guy wants to say everything out loud. I think this guy wants to prove how much of a hardcore anarchist he is. I think he wants that validation. I think he likes all this attention that he's getting right now. I think he only wants more of it. And so I with this guy, I don't think this is an act. I think that he wants to, he's a little bit like the Trump of Antifa, isn't he? He's going to love this. He's a little bit like the Trump of Antifa in that he wants to be that blustery guy. Look at me. I'm the best. I'm the most Antifa. Da 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 da. So we're gonna watch this interview. We're gonna give him the attention that he so desperately wants, and that's what we're gonna do today. Thank you, Naruto. Sending thoughts and prayers to Elijah Schaefer. He said on Twitter last night that his wife divorced him and took the kids. Yeah, I was wondering. I was debating talking about this today because I think the whole thing is very sad. Honestly, I think the entire thing is very, very sad with Elijah. And listen, man, I have always liked Elijah. Going back before I ever went viral on the internet, I like Elijah. Just like on a personal, I have met Elijah in person. He was very sweet to me. I have like kept in touch with Elijah here and there over the years. We obviously do very different things. He got much more radicalized quicker than I did. I didn't understand it, and that now I absolutely understand it. And you know, I think with Elijah, it's like we're talking about Elijah Schaefer. And if you don't know the gossip, I mean, the Too Long Didn't Read is that Elijah apparently was sleeping with a girl that was working for him. She also was pretending to be Catholic on the internet and got married at the same time as they were sleeping together. Elijah's also married. He had a wife and he had 2 kids, and there have been, and I've heard these rumors for years. There have been a lot of rumors for years about Elijah's private life, and I'm not going to say anything more than that, but I've heard them many times over the years. I never personally cared about it because I don't actually care what people do in their private lives. I don't think he's a grifter. I do not think Elijah's a grifter at all. I think Elijah is a very intense guy, and I think that I think the saddest thing about the whole thing for me is it feels like Elijah never really thought he was good enough, and so he was chasing all of this stuff, trying to feel like he was good enough or trying to feel worthy of it, or trying to, like, he always saw himself in competition with Nick Fuentes, like, and I think he was very jealous of Nick, although I also think he liked Nick, and I think that's like the saddest thing of the whole thing. I think, he's obviously, like, I mean, apparently there's been a lot of drug use and stuff like that. And, but we all know the real reason they're going after Elijah, right? We all know the real reason this dossier got put together and they're releasing all this embarrassing information about him is because he is outspoken against Israel. Can we just be honest about this, though? The reason that there was a dossier put together on all of Elijah Schaffer's personal life and what's going on there and why it's being pushed all over the internet, it's exactly the same reason they released the Glenn Greenwald sex tape. It's to embarrass the people who are speaking against Israel, to shut them up, because they had no other way to shut Elijah up other than going after his money, going after his family, going after the things that he loved, just like they tried to shut Glenn Greenwald up by posting his private sex tapes on the internet. Now, it's like, I personally find all this shit to be, like, really, really disgusting. Like, I thought it was disgusting when they posted Glenn Greenwald's sex tapes on the internet in order to silence him. I think it's disgusting what they're doing to Elijah Schaffer and Sarah Stock. They've tried to do shit like this to me, although not at quite the level. They posted all these lies about me on the internet. This one person in particular was, like, exposing me he said I was trying to groom him, but he was 28 years old and he was the one that was coming on to me. And so it's kind of like, like, whatever. But, like, this is what happens, and this happens over to Matt. They did this to Matt Gaetz. Yeah, I mean, they do this over and over and over again. And so what I'm going to say about the Elijah stuff is I wish that he had known that he was always worthy in the first place, that he didn't have to change himself, that he didn't have to chase some sort of ambition, that there was more than enough money and content and audience for everyone, and that I really hope he's okay. I hope Sarah Stock's okay. I think that what the two of them are going through right now is traumatic. And this is not to say that Elijah Schaffer and Sarah Stock, or whatever her married name is now, I forget, I apologize, but, like, that's not to say that either Elijah or Sarah are perfect people. Obviously, mistakes have been made. Obviously. But guess what? Human beings make mistakes all the fucking time. There is never been there's never been a single person that has not made mistakes that maybe come back to bite them in the ass, or maybe they regret later, or maybe they even don't. Who the fuck knows? Maybe Elijah and Sarah end up together. Who like, honestly, who the fuck knows? The world is a weird place. And so I don't know. I don't really want to say much more than that. I did debate saying something about it today because I find the whole thing to be incredibly sad, and I personally do not like this type of bullshit on the internet. I've had this shit done to me. I have been defamed massively all over the fucking internet. My family has been attacked. My friends have been attacked and doxxed. People that mean a lot to me have been deeply hurt by the people on the internet just trying to embarrass people into silence. And this type of stuff happens all the time. And it has ended up silencing a lot of people that maybe had important things that they could have contributed. And the only reason I got through it is I am much stronger than most people, and I am really fucking stubborn. And there was no way I was ever going to allow those assholes to silence me. But just because I have been through this, I find it to be just disgusting behavior. And I will not participate in some sort of purity test witch hunt. People are human beings. They are imperfect. They will make mistakes. There will be ups and downs in life. And I hope that Elijah and Sarah and everyone that's been impacted by this ridiculous absurdity that is, quite frankly, no one's fucking business. I hope everyone's okay, and I hope they know that this is temporary. It will pass. And I hope they take care of themselves. And that's really all I have to say about it. But thanks for sending me the super chat, Naruto. I do appreciate it. Tucker Carlson released an interview yesterday with AJ Gentile about talked about giants, pyramids, CIA spies, and ancient civilizations. Well, that sounds like pretty good. That sounds like a Disenrage episode, doesn't it? Doesn't it? We will be bringing Disenrage back at some point, guys. I've preempted Disenrage for the moment, which is the spiritual show that Jennifer and I do on Tuesday nights. I've preempted it for the moment just so we can do protest coverage on Tuesday nights, but it will be coming back. The show is not canceled. Jennifer obviously still hosts movie night. We love her. There's no issue. I just wanted to free up Tuesday nights to do protest coverage and spy stream. Yeah, I know. I saw that. I don't want to talk about Fannin today. Can we not talk about Fannin? Can we not? Fannin is maybe another day. Can we talk about Fannin? Thank you. All right, so we are going to be watching Antifa Kyle today, guys. That is what we are going to be doing. I wanted to... Hang on. What the hell was I looking for here? What was I looking for? I was looking for something on my Twitter. I don't know. I don't remember. Hey, I wanted to remind people of this. Do you guys remember the other day when I just dropped this crowdsourced journalism bomb on the internet? Do you guys remember when I was like, hey guys, I've been researching these signal groups and these hotlines and all of this stuff for months, and I don't have time to chase down all these leads. Here is all of the information I have about all of these hotlines. Here is the proof that I have that it's all connected. Here is how they're related to the signal groups. And I had tried to reach out to Cam Higbee with this information, and he never responded. I tried to reach out to Jack Posobiec with this information. He never responded. I tried to reach out to multiple conservative organizations with this information. No one ever fucking responded. I was going to chase it down myself, but honestly, it's just too much fucking work. I tried to crowdsource it. That didn't work. So I just basically put it all out on the internet, and I was like, hey guys, does anyone want to do some journalism? Because I don't have time to do this. I tried to hand it off to other people. No one fucking got back to me. So I put it out on the internet, and I said, anyone who wants to look into this can look into it. Here's all my information. I don't have time to do this. So I did that. And wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you know it? Someone took me up on it. And that someone was the Connecticut Sentinel, which is I believe it's an independent news outlet in Connecticut that covers things going on in Connecticut. Let me show you. I have to reload it because there was an ad. There's an annoying fucking ad taking over the entire fucking channel. Why is there an ad on? There's an ad taking over the entire screen. Maybe it's because I made it bigger so I could read it. The Connecticut Sentinel. Connecticut taxpayer money helps fund an organization that promotes anti-ICE hotline. There's the propaganda right there that I put out on the internet. Independent journalist Karlyn Borysenko specializes in exposing and decoding the radical left in America. Months ago, I made a discovery while watching far-left activists talk about their anti-ICE activities online, a folder of zines, propaganda, that the left was using to spread their message all over the country, wrote Borysenko. These zines were created by a single artist who has been coordinating with anti-ICE activist groups nationwide to help report ICE to leftist activists when they were seen in their neighborhood. Borysenko said this proved national coordination among the groups. She encouraged people to help crowdsource the investigation of the groups responsible for anti-ICE organizing efforts across the country using a spreadsheet she posted yesterday. We figured we'd lend a hand and investigate the only Connecticut-based group on the list, New Haven Immigrants. First of all, here's the New Haven zine created by the Brooklyn-based progressive artist who wants to watch ICE melt, Megan. That is the woman I got all these from. And they did an entire research, an article based off of, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, we can look at it later, but essentially what they found is exactly what I thought was happening. Because I said the minute I started researching all of these organizations that were running these hotlines, I was like, this is funded by taxpayers. I know that if people just chase down this information and they just look into these groups, they are going to find that it is all taxpayer funded. This is why I needed more help doing this, because I simply did. There's over 60 different groups on this list nationwide. I simply did not have the time to go and look into all 60 groups. And it was just like a Herculean effort, and it was a time sensitive thing. And I wanted the information out there. And so this happened exactly like I wanted to. Hey, W's Wolf in the chat for gifting a channel membership. Really do appreciate it. And I got to say, I am thrilled that someone looked into this. You know, the thing of it is I've been accused a lot every time I'm critical of someone that people like when I'm critical of Cam Higbee and said, no, Cam, this was not actually new information. No, you did not discover the signal groups. We've been talking about this for 6 months. No, you aren't actually sharing anything new. No, you're not analyzing it correctly. Like when I say that appreciating Cam Higbee's journalism, I actually do. I think he did a lot of good work. I'm not trying to be critical of everything Cam Higbee's doing, but I was critical of many things that he's doing because I don't agree with him about his analysis. And we should be allowed to have those intellectual discussions. We just should. But people said, Karlyn, you're just jealous. You're just jealous. You're just jealous. You're just jealous. You're just, oh, really? Am I? Really? Because I put out a fuck ton of information that literally any journalist in the country, whether they work for a media outlet or they are independent, I put out a fuck ton of information that literally any journalist could have just taken and ran with. All I asked was, please say where you got the information from. That was it. I put this all out on the internet, and now we have the Connecticut Sentinel taking that information and saying, oh shit, the taxpayers in Connecticut are funding all this anti-ICE shit. This is exactly what I wanted to have happen. I don't believe in competition among people who are doing this type of work. There is more than enough for all of us. There are more than enough leads to track down. There's more than enough organizations to look into. There's more than enough far left groups to cover. There's more than enough for all of us. This is not about being jealous. I want this article to get millions of views. I want anyone who takes my research and runs with it to get millions and millions of views. I want anyone who is actually, no, not James O'Keefe. Massive narcissist, lies all the time, disinformation psyop. Fuck James O'Keefe. James O'Keefe can stay the fuck away from my work. Data Republican can stay the fuck away from my work. She's a narrative shill that lies to and misinforms the audience all the time. Andy No can stay the fuck away from my work. Andy lies to and misinforms his audience all the time, and we have receipts to back up everything I'm saying, as I always do. I'm talking about real journalists. I'm talking about people who are doing it because they believe in exposing this type of information and making it accessible to the world. I am not talking about conservative retard darlings that have been lifted up because they toe the conservative bullshit line. That is not what I'm talking about at all. Jack Posobiec, he understands the problem is the thing, but Jack has his own agenda for sure. But Jack Posobiec, I like him more than I dislike him. Anyway, I wanted to make sure people knew about this. And I really want to encourage anyone, literally anyone can look into the information, guys. It's totally for free on the internet. I want people to look into it. I want people to get famous doing this stuff. I want people to make millions of dollars. I love that Cam Higbee is being so successful and it's inspiring other people to do what he's doing. I just want Cam Higbee to get better at it. I love that Nick Shirley is getting a fuck ton of attention for what he's doing. He's making a fuck ton of money. That's awesome. When people are successful and work like this is incentivized, more people do it. And I've been doing this long enough to know that there's literally more than enough for all of us. There's more than enough leads to track down. There's more than enough groups to investigate. There's more than enough activists to look into. There's more than enough taxpayer connections to look into. Like, literally, we could have a massive fuck-off army of journalists and no one would ever run out of work, even if they were entirely focused on things that actually matter. The problem is most journalists are not focused on things that actually matter. So that's how I feel about it. So thank you, Connecticut Sentinel, for taking my work, running with it, and exposing that the Connecticut taxpayers are helping to fund these organizations that are pushing anti-ICE activities. I really appreciate it. It's awesome. I hope more people do it. Thank you, NTHE. Thank you for the $10 on Rumble. I appreciate it. I have no idea how to say your name, but thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, such a W. Such a W. Got some more super chats here. Let's see. Birdman Racing, I'm sure you know, but LA is about to pop off with protesting right now. There are a few live feeds up. Cops have blockade up. Really? Seriously? I didn't know that. I've been gone all day. I will get the LA feeds up so that we can watch them at the same time as we're watching Antifa Kyle. And then, of course, if anything happens in LA, guys, and we need to go do that, we can go do that. Thank you for letting me know, though. I've really been out of my house all day, so I'm trying very much to like leave my house and start acting like a normal person at times. So I actually haven't been paying attention to the news for most of the day today. So I will definitely look that up. Guys, if you are looking for how to get access to that crowdsourced journalism information, it is over on my Substack. That is Karlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. You can find it the very first link up at the top here, how all the anti-ICE signal groups are connected nationwide. If you're new to my work, you can also find resources under the new to my work section that will introduce you to the work I do on the far left, introduce you to the language, all that stuff. I did. I left the house and I look like a girl and I had awesome shoes. True. Anyway, they had middle schoolers attacking the police in LA. It's all over X. Well, I haven't been on X today, so I'll look it up for sure. But I do want to go back and watch this interview with Antifa Kyle, who is ready for the interview. Guys, please make sure you mount the like button for me if you would be so kind. Mounting the like button lets YouTube know to recommend my content to more people. There is a shocking disparity between the number of people who are watching right now and the number of people who have mounted the like button. So I'm just going to wait here for a moment. I need more people to mount that like button, guys. If you don't feel comfortable mounting, shake the like button's hand, put your arm around the like button, give you a like button a kiss on the cheek, give the like button a slap on the ass. I don't really care what you do, but I want to see those numbers come up. Come on, this is pathetic, guys. This is pathetic. This is not good. Not good. Come on. Come on. I know you guys can do it. Come on. Numbers up. No like, no video. No like, no video. No like, no video. All right, let's get this party started.
DJ UTV, let them know who we got in the building.
What's up? I'm Kyle. I'm Antifa, live from Minneapolis, brother. Actually, we're in St. Paul now. Yeah, I'm Kyle Wagner. I'm a local here in Minneapolis that's been pretty popular on the internet this week.
For sure. Well, welcome to DJ UTV. It's definitely a blessing to have you. Like you said, you have been very viral on the internet.
Yeah.
Within the past, if you ask me, this whole month.
Yeah, it's been, well, since I showed up, I've been pretty loud and front and center here in Minneapolis, which has turned into like a national and even international thing. So yeah, it's been crazy. I had like 2,000 followers what was the end of December, you know, and I posted a video online calling out this guy who had an SS tattoo behind his ear and telling him like to go home, like back to Texas or wherever he had come from, because like we're familiar with like white supremacists coming to Minneapolis to have problems with like Black Lives Matter in the past. So we're kind of used to seeing these guys and telling them to go
protest
home,
coverage.
right? And that was just the first time I kind of pulled out a camera to record that experience. And when I put it up online, I didn't really think much of it. At the time I was posting it so everybody in Minneapolis knew that there was like a guy with an SS tattoo on Lindale. And it just blew up so fast, like overnight. I had like 1 million views or something like that. And I'd never had content blow up like that, you know, and hadn't really like considered going viral for anything of that nature, you know, like that it would go viral, I guess. In my mind, I didn't think like that was a viral piece of content, but it immediately...
Hey guys, if anyone knows if there is a live feed in like near LA City Hall right now, that would be really helpful. I have a live feed there. It looks like a bunch of cops. So if anyone has whatever the high school kids did in LA today or a live stream of that would be really helpful. But it looks like we do have a couple feeds up there.
Became very evident that like people all over the country that were dealing with this ICE situation, that have been dealing with like, you know, the history of violence against Black and brown people in our city, seeing a white guy call out another white guy for some like obvious hate and stuff was a big deal. And so I just got like flooded. I got flooded with a lot of love, man. Like this whole country like came out like with a resounding hell yeah. That's how somebody with like an SS Nazi tattoo should be like confronted, right? And then the next day they shot Renee Good 14 blocks away from my house. And I was there as a watcher in the immediate aftermath. Like I saw her in her truck. I saw them shooting my friends, like people I know personally, in the face with tracer rounds and beating people down and just throwing gas canisters around. And you know, it's like I've been through so much of this, like with George Floyd, and even before that, Philando Castile and Jamar Clark, and like even back when I was really young, Occupy New York and stuff was like when I was fresh out of high school. So this was different than all of the previous tactics I'd ever seen any law enforcement ever in my life ever use, right? And I'm pretty familiar with law enforcement. Like I'm not gonna say I'm like a bad guy, but like I've had my run-ins with the law, and like I understand the rule of law and I respect it. You know, like I think that we have a choice to respect the law and respect civility. And when the law and civility are not being respected, then there's consequences, right? Anybody who's like been in the streets knows that like there's still a code and there's a consequence for actions. Like there's no part of this world where people can act the way ICE is acting, you know, without immediate and direct consequences, except for apparently here in America, the land of the free and the home of the brave. We allow federal Gestapo to beat us down in the streets now and shoot people in cold blood and execute them. And, you know, so I put out the call to action, like we need to consider that like no one's coming
I
to
almost
save
just knocked
us.
my computer off my desk. Don't worry
They're
about it.
getting away with this. Like
Don't worry about
they're
it. It's
kidnapping
fine.
thousands of people, honest people who came here seeking a better life. I mean, we used to like history of this country just doesn't support it. You know, my parents are first generation. My grandparents fled Nazi Germany on my dad's side. My mom's family came here
Holocaust
similarly.
mentioned.
Like,
My parents fled Nazi Germany. Guys, he's Jewish. Holy shit. Holy shit. Can I get some bagels and some lightning bolts in the chat, please? Blimey. Blimey, he is Jewish. Me mom died in the Holy. Who could have seen that coming? Every single fucking time Holocaust mentioned. God, I can't even get my sweater on. Yep, there's some bagels, some lightning bolts. You guys rock.
they're getting away with this.
There we go.
Like they're kidnapping
Sweater
thousands of
activated.
people, honest people who came here seeking a better life. I mean, we used to like history of this country just doesn't support it. You know, my parents are first generation. My grandparents fled Nazi Germany on my dad's side.
Just so it's very clear, we love Jews on this channel. We love bagels on this channel. Hitler was the worst person that ever lived. The Holocaust was a totally real event. Gas chambers have wooden doors. No less than 10 million Jews died in the Holocaust. It's the worst tragedy in the history of the world. We all need to go to the Holocaust Museum. In fact, all of you need to go to you all need to make an appointment to go to the Holocaust Museum this weekend to repent of whatever the fuck you're doing in my chat right now. I mean, we love Jews on this channel. Jews are totally welcome, and we love Israel, and the United States should give all their money to Israel, and no anti-Semitism allowed, you assholes. Okay.
Mom's family came here similarly, like you know,
tacos too. Yeah,
industrial revolution, the flood from Europe and stuff. We're a land of immigrants. We're also on stolen land, and we have killed hundreds of millions of First Nations people in a cultural and literal genocide here. And let's not even go into the slave trade, right? Like the history doesn't support us as an American people with the Constitution allowing this tyranny to exist. And people have agreed with me on that part for a long time, but the whole get your guns thing came out when they then followed up and shot Alex Preddy, who is somebody I knew. I mean, that's my neighborhood. My daughter was conceived 4 blocks away from where he was killed. I have lived in that stretch of Minneapolis, we call it East Street, for the last 15 years.
Thanks so much for the super chat, Birdman Racing. The streamer you have up now was the one covering the city hall as well, but it doesn't look like you can rewind his live. So this is just a restreamer. So he's restreaming other people's streams. But hopefully we can find that city hall protest coverage. That would be pretty great to watch at some point. Thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Okay, so here is what the left believes. I'm not explaining what I believe. I'm explaining to you what the left believes. The left believes that prior to colonization of America by the Europeans, that the land was under the collective caretakership of the indigenous people. What that means is no one owned the land. Hang on, we got to give W's in the super chat. W's to Karen. W's to Karen in the chat. 5 gifted channel memberships. Thanks so much, Karen. You rule. Guys, can we get to 100 gifted channel memberships today? Can we just make that a normal thing on the channel where we get to 100 gifted channel memberships every single day? How cool would that be if every day we gifted out 100 new channel memberships? That would be awesome. Anyway, let's go back to this question so I can explain what's going on with the land thing. Okay. So prior to European colonization, I'm explaining what the left believes. I'm not telling you what I believe. Prior to European colonization of America, the land was under the collective caretakership of the indigenous people. What that means is no one owned the land. The land was available to everyone. Okay? Anyone could use the land. No one was excluded from the land. There were no borders around the land. There were no borders. Borders were not a thing. Again, I'm explaining what they believe prior to European colonization. When the Europeans came over and stole the land from the indigenous people, they created borders around the land that privatized the land under the oppressive force of capitalism. That's what capitalism is. It is private property ownership, private ownership of the land, so that some people are allowed on the land and other people are not allowed on the land. This is the basis of why the left supports Palestine. They believe the Palestinians were the original collective caretakers of the indigenous land in that region. The evil Israeli settler colonists came in, stole the land from the indigenous people, put a border around it, and then excluded people from the land based on who they wanted to have access to it and who they didn't want to have access to it. So this is, and they believe the Palestinians are in a glorious uprising over capitalism. The reason the left supports Palestine has nothing to do with Jews, has nothing to do with Muslims, has nothing to do with any of that. It has to do with the Palestinians are the indigenous people that are decolonizing the land or taking it back from the oppressive force of capitalism, whereas Israel are the settlers that stole the indigenous land. Did we just get 10 gifted channel memberships from Cynthia? W's in the chat for Cynthia, the queen of the chat. I think Tommy also said I missed a super chat of him or something. No, I didn't. Tom making shit up yet again, obviously. Anyway, so going back to this question, how is the land stolen if everyone who wants can come here and stay here? The land is under private ownership. That's why it's stolen. The land, when they say land back, they mean removing borders from around the land, making all land available to everyone. That is how the land is stolen. As long as there are borders, we will be on stolen land. Does everyone understand what I just said? That's actually probably the easiest way to think of it. As long as there are borders around the land, the left will believe we are on stolen land. That's why they say no one is illegal on stolen land. They don't believe the borders should exist because the borders are what create private property. 1 in the chat if you understand what I just said, 2 in the chat if you're still confused. This is the basis of the land back movement on the left. This was the basis of the Turtle Island Liberation Front, which is that group that the FBI arrested for trying to bomb American cities. Turtle Island refers to the land in America before it was stolen and colonized by the evil settler colonists that privatized it and put a border around it. Cool. Good question, though.
Years, and I've seen him around the neighborhood for a while. He was a good guy. We align on some things, politically, like ideologically. So like,
Yeah, they didn't.
I'm not gonna call-
They actually didn't like that either. So you actually did see them. You just didn't know what you were looking at. So wrong. Tom said the Hawley Museum has a room full of Wow, Tom. Based. All right. Thank you.
on like a friend, but like I definitely recognized his face. And there were some people in the room when I saw the video that like showed me the video, had to wake me up. I remember hearing the gunshots, and within 30 minutes,
So to clarify, and by the way, I love that you asked a question for clarification. I love that you did this, because if you don't fully understand, I want everyone to ask questions to clarify. Can you clarify? So do the leftists think the land does not belong to anyone? Yes, but they believe that everyone is responsible for the caretakership of the land, but that the land belongs to everyone by birthright. They believe that the minute you put a border around the land, you exclude people who have a right to the land from using it. So they believe the land belongs to everyone, and that everyone has the responsibility to be a caretaker of that land. It's not the same as ownership, because there is no border, there is no exclusion. I hope that makes sense. No, they don't care about that at all. No, nope, they don't. Got a super chat here. Hey, thanks, Draco. Didn't the natives have territories for each tribe? Not borders. Not borders. It's not the same thing. It is not the same thing at all, according to the left. Again, I'm explaining to you what the left believes. No, according to them, they did not have a border because Native Americans did not have a capitalist society. So it's not the same thing. So yeah. And I appreciate you asking the question, but like this is a very, very highly nuanced point that I understand might seem pedantic, but it encompasses everything the left believes in a nutshell. Oftentimes the left is pedantic in their thinking. So you are defining what the Native Americans has as a border. The left does not define it as a border. So this is an instance of you yourself and people who don't understand the left say, isn't this what a border is? If you ask a leftist, is that what a border is? They're going to say no, because the land isn't owned by anyone. There are no official borders. Everyone can use, so that is what they are going to say. So again, I am not explaining to you what I believe. I am explaining to you what the left believes. Trying to debunk me isn't going to actually get you anywhere, because I don't believe any of this shit. I'm explaining to you what they believe, and debunking me is not the same thing as convincing them to change their mind. And I appreciate the super chat. I do appreciate you asking the question. And I hope people do ask questions on this stuff, but this is more of like an advanced level. Like if you're new, this is an advanced understanding of what's going on. So if like you're brand new to this content, you just jumped into the deep end of the pool. And I don't say that to say that like you can't understand it, but it's one of those things where it's like, if you don't understand the leftist mindset yet, this is going to be a difficult point for people to understand the difference between ownership and caretakership. And it just takes time of like listening to the left and understanding more and more and more about their belief system. You're going to understand it eventually. You're going to have a moment where you go, oh, I get it now. But I understand why it might not seem like that right now if you haven't had your head in this for years like I have. Anyway.
My phone was blowing up, and I was getting reports that like they were rioting on Franklin and 26, which is 4 blocks from my house. So, I jumped and ran down there, and I saw what was going on again, front lines right away. Like they were scrubbing the scene of evidence again. They were taking away the body. They were disturbing everything, and they were tear gassing and beating civilians in the street. And it's like, in my mind,
Hang on, we have another super chat. Thank you, guys. How does the left contend with Native Americans historically using trade and bartering systems as primitive capitalism? It's not the same thing as capitalism. Primitive bartering is not the same thing as capitalism because it doesn't allow for the mass accumulation of wealth and the creation of wealth disparities and hierarchy. Same with trade. So it's not the same thing. The left defines private property ownership, bourgeois property ownership, as home ownership, land ownership, apartment rental ownership that you rent out as a landlord, intellectual property ownership, private business, whether or not that private business is big or small. No, they don't view trade among Native American tribes as the same thing because again, it is not allowing for the mass accumulation of wealth and the creation of hierarchies that create mass disparity. They also define parental rights as a form of capitalism too, but their definitions of this again are really important. So you can say, it sounds like purposeful denial to me. Hey, Geeky, go do me a favor. Go to a leftist meeting sometime and say, excuse me, did you know that Native Americans had a bartering system? Because your ideology sounds delusional when you understand that Native Americans had a bartering system. They're going to look at you like you have 3 heads. They're going to fucking laugh at you. They don't care what you have to say. They're going to say, bro, shut the fuck up. You don't understand what you're talking about. So you're trying to do an owning the lib thing right now by debunking me, not understanding that I don't believe any of this shit. And if you try to go into a leftist meeting and say this stuff to them, they don't give a fuck what you think. So and they're going to say to you that you don't understand what they're actually saying, which is actually true because they don't consider bartering to be a form of capitalism, as I just explicitly explained. And you can lie. You were don't fucking lie. You were trying to own the libs by debunking me because that is how your guys' mind works. So now you know it is not the same thing. I gave you the very explicit definition, and I hope you think about it. No debunking on this channel, though. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for the left. No amount of debunks is ever going to change their mind on anything. So the goal of this channel is not to debunk them. The goal of this channel is to understand what they believe.
A grown man, and as like somebody who's like experienced enough violence in my life to know where that line is, like I can't understand how there aren't more people fighting these guys.
They do not have differing opinions on this. This is the things I'm telling you are the things that are widely understood across all leftist groups. There are no differing opinions on this. They are incredibly consistent in their ideology. They are incredibly consistent in their ideology across all the different groups. They may have differences of opinions when it comes to implementation of these ideas, or they may have differences of opinion about how do we go about getting our Marxist revolution? What are the best strategies to use? But in terms of the ideology, they are incredibly consistent across all the different groups to like a scary degree.
The street, the way they're behaving, like just I've seen them snatch children out of cars. I've seen them smash mothers' faces into things, and just they're being for no reason, right? Like these are unarmed civilians, right? So I'm seeing that again right there by my house, and I turned around, I turned heel, I ran back to my house, I grabbed a bunch of gas masks that we had ordered because they've been dropping CS gas in our neighborhoods. And I went back to the front lines with my truck full of like riot shields that we had fucking collected and gas masks that we had collected and gloves and stuff. And I passed them out to all the people that were on the streets in the neighborhood because like those are my people. And like I had already been doing this drive after Renee Good to get gas masks for moms because they're setting off CS gas in residential neighborhoods. It's like wafting through people's homes that have, you know, small children. This is banned by NATO. Like the Geneva Convention bans the use of these gases in warfare. But the federal government's going to use them against peaceful observers who have their phones out and are honking their horn.
Bro. I appreciate the money. I do, and I'm going to keep the money. But you were doing a debunk. I've been doing this a long time. I know what it looks like. You need to be honest about that. I appreciate your explanation. I said they are using some cray-cray purposeful denial. Well, bro, that means you're trying to debunk them. The fact that you keep hammering and whining about they're denying, do you have any fucking idea how much crazy shit the left believes? Bro, you are obviously brand new here. What I just explained to you scratches the fucking surface of the crazy shit the left believes. We've seen way crazier shit than what I've just explained to you. And so when you send in a super chat saying, excuse me, it seems their denial is purposeful, you're trying to debunk them when what I'm trying to explain to you is this attitude is not helpful. It's not helpful in understanding them. The goal is to understand them. Now, if you were asking the question in a way that it wasn't an obvious, clear debunk with you going, I just think this is purposeful denial. If you were asking the question in a different way, then it would be an honest question. But this is a debunk. And I'm telling you, if you want to actually understand this topic, you need to stop doing this shit. Because this is unhelpful. It's not going to help you understand. You're only going to sit there and be in your head going, that's wrong for reason X, Y, B, and Z. They don't give a fuck. When you find out the level of crazy shit that these people believe, it is going to blow your fucking mind. And then you're going to have to wrap your head around the fact that there is nothing that you can say or do to talk them out of it. And P.S., they're winning. They're winning. You're losing. If we don't start understanding them, they are going to win. So you can say it's purposeful denial all you want. That changes nothing. They are still winning. You are still losing. You still do not understand them. Therefore, you cannot defeat them. This is about understanding them so you can defeat them. Thank you for the money. I appreciate it. Time to listen.
And blowing whistles. It's just such a crazy juxtaposition, and people aren't seeing all of that. They get some of the videos and stuff, but they think that's like a protest. This is a constant thing. So I told people in a video on Facebook the day Alex Freddie was shot that we can't peacefully protest. There's no peaceful message to come when they're shooting a American citizen, a veteran, a nurse, a pillar of our community in a lot of ways in cold blood. I mean, I saw that execution. We saw the whole world saw the video from 5 different angles. We know that Alex Freddie had been observing prior to that, and that they had already broken one of his ribs in a previous arrest where they identified and released him because they discovered that he had a gun. And then in the second time, we believe it might even be the same.
See, you know what? This is geeky candy. You have picked an excellent strategy. I love this. If I yell at you, you just send me 10 times the amount of money. I can't be pissed off at someone after they send me a $50 super chat. I wanted your clarification. It was debunking. No. Okay. I'm gonna, again, thank you for the $50. I'm absolutely going to keep the $50. I'm going to buy something nice for myself, but you need to ask the questions in a different way. You were absolutely debunking. Everyone knows it. We called you out on it so that you are aware that you're doing it, so you cut that shit out. The left is insane. Yes. I've been following from the, I don't know what that means. Triangulation flag race. Again, love the channel, and I apologize. The questions seem that way. Again, listen, I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I am trying to make you aware of what you're doing so that you can become aware and do it differently. Because I think that most people on the right are so used to just debunking people that they don't even realize that they're doing it. Now you are aware that you're doing it. If you want to agree, I'm still going to keep the money. But like, if you want to agree to disagree that you're doing it, that's fine. But I have made you aware that you're doing it. I hope you think about it. I hope you take a different tactic. I hope you ask questions differently. Don't debunk them. Oh, oh God. Oh, that shit. I remember that, the flag thing. That was funny. That Shia LaBeouf flag game That was the funniest shit that's like ever happened on the internet. But thank you, Candy. I do appreciate the very generous super chat. Thank you. Let me see. I got another one. I got another two. I just found out my daughter's school did what they call unplanned protests. Teachers furnish pre-made signs or supplies to make them. School board letter states teachers not. Wow. I wish I could say I was surprised, Doc, that the teachers are furnishing all of the students with supplies to make protest signs, and then the teachers are saying, we didn't do nothing. Okay. Thanks so much for the super chat. Thanks for letting us know. They should see that. Oh, God. I don't want to talk about BDSM today. I don't want to talk about it. The right thinks that the left are all furries. They're not furries. Furry isn't even a thing on the far left. This is how I know Tyler Robinson was not in the far left subculture, because furry is not a thing on the left, like, at all. Do you know what is a thing on the left? Leather and BDSM and tying each other up and all sorts of power play sex dynamics. That is, BDSM is the sexual fetish of the left, which makes sense because BDSM is all about power dynamics. It's all about oppressor versus oppressed. So the left is engaging in power dynamic fetishes consensually, which they say overturns capitalism and queer sex or some such thing. So that's a fun little thing we'll get into at some point. We're not going to talk about that today, though. Yeah, I only like leather handbags. That is actually very true. Very true. But I'm not making anyone lick my boots or anything yet. Anyway, let's continue.
Officers, although they're wearing masks, so do we know, right? Went straight to take that gun off of him. And so, like, to me, like, I disarm myself out of, respect for, my community and the people around me in 2021 after George Floyd. We were trying to get the gun.
Yeah, Geeky, this is the last thing I'm going to say to you because you were so generous with the super chats. I'm really not trying to make you feel bad. But if you've been watching a while, I have a certain style. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I want you to learn this information and I want you to understand this information. I'm on your side, but sometimes people do things that they're not aware that they're doing. So it's all for the greater good. I appreciate you being here.
Out of Uptown, like, collectively. It was a really violent period without any real police action. So I was encouraging everybody to arm themselves, at that point because of what had happened post George Floyd. So this is like 5 years now. I've been helping people in Minneapolis, like, arm themselves and understand their rights around gun ownership as liberals and people of color and queer folk and, like, people you wouldn't normally expect to own guns that are being shot by people. And yeah. So I put the message out that, like, no more peaceful protests. Get your guns, like, get out in the streets right now and make, like, we need to identify and disarm these gunmen or they're going to kill us. Like, if you're not willing to stand up, then lay down and die for them, because that's all they're giving us right now. And that video over like 12 hours had like 12 million views on the original and I don't know, over 1 million likes. It went way viral really quick. But, like, I got invited on Piers Morgan that night. And they told me that they wanted a boots on the ground perspective of what was going on in Minneapolis. And I was really cautious because I know Piers Morgan's work and I'm not a big fan of his, but I also was enticed by the platform opportunity, thinking in my head at the moment, like, this will be a really good opportunity for me to have the conversation about how this is all getting done. So, like, in one hand, it was an opportunity that I was excited to take. And the other hand, I was like, this is a big wolf. This is a big elephant to eat. Like, can I get anything? And so I reached out to everybody that I knew and I was like, hey, I'd love to talk to you about messaging and this situation with Piers Morgan, like, get your opinion on stuff. Cause we kind of operate, all of these decentralized systems in Minneapolis are predicated on individuals working together.
Isn't it funny that Antifa Kyle specifically said all the decentralized systems in Minneapolis? It's almost as though Antifa is a non-hierarchical, decentralized organization. He literally just said, We are operating decentralized organizations. Listen again. Make sure the captions are on. Yo! See, Candy, we're back. We're back. W's for Candy in the chat. I love this. I yell at someone, they keep sending me money. They say I yell at them again, they send me more money. And then we make up, and then they send me channel memberships. I love it. Candy, you rule. W's in the chat for Candy. I have no complaints. You know, debunk all you don't no debunking though. No more fucking debunking. But like W's for you. I really do appreciate it.
With Piers Morgan, like get your opinion on stuff, because we kind of operate all of these decentralized systems in Minneapolis are predicated on individuals working together. So we always bounce ideas off of each other. Like my lane might not be mutual aid, but I'm always checking in with them and asking them what they need and making sure that I'm not harming the ecosystem doing what I do front lines, you know, that kind of stuff. So I got a call from a friend who is like cautioning me and talking me through all of Piers Morgan's rhetoric over the last few months and all of his super controversial interviews, you know, and it became really obvious to me that I was being invited on Piers Morgan because I have face tattoos and I called people to like arm themselves and take to the streets in defense of our freedoms. And I am like a very outspoken socialist, you know, politically.
Oh, yeah?
And
I'm a very outspoken socialist politically. You don't say. You don't say. Again.
And take to the streets in defense of our freedoms. And I am like a very outspoken socialist, you know, politically. And what their messaging has been is around.
This is the funniest shit that's ever happened. Hey, thanks for the super chat. I really appreciate it. This right here, side note, this right here is the funniest shit that's ever happened. Where now, in case people didn't hear about this, let me show you this on my Twitter, just in case people didn't hear about this. So this started with that Antifa press conference months and months and months ago that Trump had at the White House. That was a big fucking joke. And in that Antifa press conference, Kristi Noem called Chandler the leader of Antifa. And then, do you guys remember this? We all had a good laugh because Kristi Noem called Chandler the leader of fucking Antifa. And then who else was it? Like Marco Rubio agreed and Kash Patel agreed and all this shit. And we all had a good laugh. We were like, these idiots think Chandler is the fucking leader of Antifa? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Well, guess what? Chandler has now ended up in a report in the Department of Homeland Security where they again say, in an official Department of Homeland Security report, that Chandler is the leader of Antifa. W's in the chat for Wolf. Really do appreciate it. And so did this guy, did Kyle get Chandler's permission before this interview? I don't know, man. I don't know. Those two are going to have a talk. And now we saw this earlier. Melinda said, I saw a Raw Story article on Facebook saying Chandler's the head of Antifa. For people who don't know the joke, there is no universe in which Chandler is the head of Antifa. First of all, because Antifa has no leadership. Second of all, Chandler isn't even in Antifa. He's really not. I might joke and call Chandler Antifa, but I hope people know it's a joke. Chandler is not in Antifa. Like, of this, I am positive. Chandler's like a weird autistic kid. He doesn't do any of the behaviors that's consistent with Antifa at all. He knows people in Antifa. He's certainly friends with people in Antifa. But Chandler himself is not in Antifa. He's not. It's so fucking stupid. And the fact that this just keeps getting perpetuated, where this is now, I told Shelly, Honey Badger Mom, I was like, you need to write a book called The Legend of Chandler, because the legend, like fucking Nick Sorter DM'd me. And he's like, who put that in that report? I was like, Nick, Veli's influence knows no bounds. Veli is obviously like fucking Kristi Noem or something. Like probably happened on this is probably what happened. The last time Kristi Noem went to Portland, Veli secretly tracked her down and like took her out or something. And now Veli's influence is felt in the Department of Homeless. And I just want everyone to remember that this is the federal yeah, this is all Veli's fault. This is 100% fucking Veli's fault. And I want everyone to remember this is the work of our federal government. This is the Trump level understanding of what Antifa is. They all have convinced themselves that Chandler's the leader of Antifa when Chandler isn't even in Antifa. The Veli effect. Yeah, it's whose streets? Veli streets, apparently. Yep. Yep. Whose world? Veli's world, man. We're all just living in Veli's world. Back to this.
Trying to establish this like terrorist organization of Antifa. I've been joking about it and like, hi, I'm Kyle, I'm Antifa on the internet because of Pam Bondi being like, we're gonna round them up.
I apologize. I didn't see the super chat. Am I Italian? No, I'm French, Irish, British, and a tiny bit of Spanish. I think. And I only know about that because of a DNA test. But I am majority French, Irish, British in that order, but no Italian, sadly.
The terrorist organization. There's no organization, folks. Like there's no generals in this fight.
Oh yeah. There's no Antifa organization? Please explain that again, Kyle. Listen, we're going back to important stuff now.
What their messaging has been is around trying to establish this like terrorist organization of Antifa. I've been joking about it and like, hi, I'm Kyle, I'm Antifa on the internet because of Pam Bondi being like, we're going to round them up. It's a terrorist organization. There's no organization, folks. Like there's no generals in this fight. It's people who understand the word anti-fascist.
Yeah, can you break?
There are no generals in this fight. There's no organization. And he also said it was completely decentralized earlier. This is exactly what I have been explaining to you guys for months and for years, actually, for fucking years. He just said it. There are no generals in this fight. There are no leaders in Antifa. It is a decentralized organization. I'm only saying it to make fun of Pam Bondi. There is no organization. Does everyone understand this?
Break that down for us.
Yeah. So
who is Antifa?
Fascism
Capitalism.
is a system of governance that's predicated on kind of like three major things. One is a nationalist identity, usually like an ethno-nationalist identity. So like
when they're saying nationalist identity, they're talking about borders. You cannot have a nationalist identity without borders. When they talk about Christian nationalists, they mean Christians who believe in borders. Does everyone understand this? No borders, no nation. If nationalists are the enemy, that borders are inherently enable nationalism.
An ethno-state being like all white people only, or Christian nationalists, right, that believe that there should be a country of just Christians. There's other examples of this in the world that I won't name on your podcast, but I think we know what I'm talking about, right? And so the other pillar of that is that they control the media. They have a state-controlled message, and people are not allowed dissenting opinions in fascism. And the third is that it's like a, dictatorial or like maybe oligarchical control. So it's like one person or like a small group of wealthy, powerful people that basically control everything in that country through authoritarian measures. So anti-fascism is being against fascism. Where does that come from? It comes from 1930s Weimar Republic, Germany. There was an anti-fascist party in opposition.
Holocaust mention, lightning bolts in the chat. We do lightning bolts in the chat anytime we have a Holocaust mention. Me mom died in the holly. Lightning bolts, please. You can do bagels as well. You can do both even.
opposition to the Nationalist Socialist Party. Hitler, in his own words, adopted socialism to get the working class involved with his fascist agenda, which he had adopted from Mussolini, right? That was what happened in 1933 Germany. Hitler won through highly debatable election process. There was a lot of, at the time, brown shirts, they called them, which were supporters, you know, that would go out and beat people up if they went to do stuff. It was like, you know, a lot of union busting stuff going on. And the anti-fascist party, anti-fascist action, was the opposing political party at the time in the Weimar Republic of Germany. Essentially Hitler's oppositional party. Think of it as the...
Okay, I want to explain something to you guys. The anti-fascists in Germany were communists. Hitler had many, many faults. And I am not glorifying Hitler, and I'm not saying Hitler was a good guy. Hitler was the worst person in history, obviously burning in hell. But I'm just about to state a fact that not everyone might know, because a lot of people don't understand this. Hitler was fighting the communists. The communists were the anti-fascists. Hitler is not a socialist in the same way that he is a socialist, because Hitler, and in Hitler's Germany, they still had private property ownership. Just provably, they did. So National Socialism is not the same as radical revolutionary leftist socialism. It is a different ideology entirely. Hitler was fighting the communists. The communists were the ones that were fucking up everything in Germany. Hitler came to power because of how much the communists fucked everything up and how sick of their shit people were. And Hitler came in and provided a solution, the only solution that has actually worked to beat back communists, although mistakes were made and it went way too far. And obviously the Holocaust was the worst thing that ever happened. No less than 10 million Jews died in the Holocaust. Gas chambers totally have wooden doors. It happened exactly like they taught in school, all that stuff. I'm not saying, again, Hitler denounced. We're like, we love Jews on this channel. I'm simply stating that fascism is the opposite of communism. And the only way to be a real anti-communist is to be a fascist, because the anti-fascists are communists. Does everyone understand? One in the chat if you understand what I'm saying. Two, yeah, the Holocaust was definitely worse than January 6th. Two in the chat if you are confused. Okay. Thank you.
Republicans and the Democrats. This would be the Democratic Party. And they were against communism, fascism, and capitalism. That were the three arrows: is anti-fascist, anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist, or anti-capitalist, you know, depending on how you phrase it.
They don't define capitalism the same.
So being anti-fascist was to say we do not want that central government, central bank, central control of our economy and of our war machine in particular, because the World War I was a brutal war, and a lot of people, Germany lost that war. Similar to what we're seeing right now, right? It's like there's so many parallels. We're just seeing basically 1930s Germany repeated in the United States by Trump and his administration. They're dressing the part.
No,
They're
Disavow, I'm joking.
literally
That's a
using
joke.
the same
I don't wish
slogans
that
on
at
a lot
all.
of things. You know, you saw Pam Bondi standing in front of a podium that said, "One of ours, all of yours." That is a Nazi slogan referring to a massacre in a Czech village in which one Nazi SS soldier was killed outside of a bar, and they literally razed the entire city, killed everyone, and who they didn't kill went to a Nazi internment camp and was killed at, you know, in an internment. That's no different than what we're seeing done by ICE when they're following the same playbook, right?
What's the phrase again?
One of ours, all of yours. Meaning you killed one of ours and we're going to kill every single person you know, right? Man. There's a lot of this rhetoric being thrown around by Stephen Miller, by Kristi Noem, by Pam Bondi that is literally word for word.
No, it's really not. It's really not. It would be so based if it was, but it's really not. Lord of the Ree, I wish Trump was half the fascist they say he is. Yo, I mean, wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that be awesome? Hey guys, I gotta run downstairs and get some water. I'm gonna let this play. I will be right back in 2 minutes.
Word translated from the Nazi Party. They are using ICE as a secret military force, similar to how Hitler used the brown shirts in the 1930s. He would send his supporters to just go destroy entire Jewish parts of the cities, or go round up people in small towns and stuff. They were a violent group of young German nationalists. So that's kind of the history of it, I guess. But what is anti-fascism? It's an ideology, right? It's understanding that fascism is really kind of like the ultimate evil in the world of politics, in the world of governance and stuff. That's the big bad wolf that we as a nation stood against in World War II. The entire US and the Allied forces were anti-fascist. And so the fascists were Hitler and Mussolini, and then you had the communists in Russia. And anti-fascism in modern times today, right now, what is fascism? Fascism is corporate America. Fascism is this giant war machine globally, this constant cycle of never-ending wars that are used to profit, right? And it's the consolidation of media to where you can't get real information, and it's the silencing of dissent. When they say that they're going to take somebody off of the air for saying that they don't like the president, we're in the world of fascism now, right? Because they're silencing free speech, right? Which is what they're doing to me. I mean, I said, and I believe wholly, I have the original content, I'll stand on my word. I don't care how heated I said it. What I said was legally, constitutionally sound, moral, ethical take. We as a people are being attacked by the federal government. These are mass gunmen acting with impunity. There is no world in which Border Patrol has jurisdiction to detain and assault U.S. citizens, asking for papers, pulling people out of vehicles, entering their homes without a judicial warrant. None of that has any basis in the law that I know and understand as someone who has had to deal with the consequences of breaking the law before, right? Okay, there's due process. There is all of these things. So fascism is when we're it's authoritarianism for an ethno state. It's a dictator who wants only his white people and everybody else can go die, right? And that's what they've done on repeat. I mean, anytime you see an ethno state trying to be formed, it comes with ethnic cleansing and genocide, right? And it's the first time we're going to see where technology, these phones are the weapon, information is the weapon, right? When we're seeing it in 4K, when we're seeing the front lines of these global conflicts in 4K POV, that's my cousin Sergey in Ukraine dodging drone strikes from Russian invaders, right? When we can see the police brutality on American streets. We watched George Floyd die slowly, begging for his life, asking for his mother. I do not care what he did. There is no world in which that man deserved to die without due process. There is no world in which handcuffed, face down on the ground, there was any reason for the violence that was, and the fact that
no,
Derek
hang
Chauvin,
on. No. Kyle is a true believer. There is nothing that I can do to get to him. Guys, you've got to start giving up on this dream that these people can be deprogrammed. He's in a cult. He's in a cult. He is in a world in which he only listens to people who believe this ideology. He has probably surrounded himself with people who believe this ideology for his entire adult life, and probably even before that. He doesn't want to change his ideas. You were joking, okay, Sinbad. I totally get it. Fine, but I do think that there are probably people who think that these people can still be reasoned with. He is in a cult. He does not want to be reasoned with. He does not want to give up on his belief system. You cannot deprogram someone from a prison that they have built for themselves.
Literally had a history with the man. They worked nightclubs together, right? And like to Southsiders, like Derek Chauvin was one of the cops that you worried about. Yeah, he was in that speedway across the street from Cup Foods all the time, being a fucking prick. To honest, hardworking, tax-paying Americans, that's a fascist police force, right? We're just going to wield our authority with impunity. There's no due cause necessary here. Let me be the boot. I'm saying no one's coming to save us. If the police and the National Guard aren't able to step up.
I not only think they can win, I think they're going to win. I think these people are going to try to overthrow the government in the next 10 to 15 years, maybe even sooner. It might happen sooner than that. But I think 10 to 15 years is an extremely reasonable timeline at the rate they've been going for the last 100 years. Not only do I think they can win, I think they're going to win because there is no opposition to them. There's nothing opposing them. They're running the fucking table. And most people who claim to be opposed to what they're doing don't even take them seriously. They don't take it as a serious problem. They say, they're LARPing, they're stupid, they're mentally ill, they don't have jobs, they just want free stuff. The conservative cope is a way to not take them seriously so they don't have to do anything. So that means the left is operating completely and totally unopposed everywhere in the country right now. They are doing whatever the fuck they want to do. There are no consequences to anything that they're doing because they are operating completely unopposed. So do I think they can win? Yeah, obviously. Why wouldn't they? There's no opposition.
It's on every American citizen to exercise.
That's like saying if there are two teams playing a basketball game and one of those teams just sits down on the floor and they say, everyone on the other team is mentally ill and delusional. Well, the other team is actually playing basketball. The other team is just making basket after basket after basket after basket. And the team that claims to be opposing them is on the floor going, everyone is mentally ill and we have jobs and that's why we can't do anything. That's what we're talking about, guys. One team is playing the game. The other team is having a hissy fit on the floor every single day, pretending that they are the superior ones, when in fact it is the first team that is actually taking the game seriously that is kicking their ass. Thanks so much for the super chat, James. Daily support fascism fund. I appreciate that. Do you think we are witnessing the communist version of criminal justice in Minneapolis? Oh, yeah, I do, actually. That's a really great point. Yeah, I do. I think they're going to be setting up those barricades all over the city. Did you guys see that Jake Lang got kicked out of a restaurant yesterday just for being pro-ICE? So you can't even be pro-ICE and get service in Minneapolis. It's not even about are you ICE, it's whether or not you support ICE. So Jake Lang is like, it's going to be lit this weekend, by the way. Watching Jake Lang is going to be so fucking funny this weekend and so entertaining. It is going to be awesome. People run roadblocks in the group deciding whether or not a person is allowed in the city or not. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a really great point. We are going to witness what criminal justice looks like under a communist society in Minneapolis because there's nothing stopping them.
Is their rights the first? We can go into that, but fascism is that authoritarianism in support of the white nationalist agenda, and we've seen that it's white nationalism. Who are all these school shooters? White kids that believe Christian nationalist conservative white kids. Who are all of these like crazy gun nuts that are calling for, civil war? White Christian nationalists, right? Now, you and I come from like urban environment.
Wouldn't that be funny as hell? Can someone please send this idea to Jake Lang right now? No, there's no such. This Trantifa is not a real thing. Andy No lied about that. That's not a real thing. That is a made up thing. That's not real. We don't use fake words here. Wouldn't it be funny as shit if on the back of someone's truck they built like a bulletproof cage around Jake Lang? So they had Jake Lang in some sort of thing where you could see him, but like it was totally bulletproof and no one could actually get to him. And they just gave him a megaphone and then drove the fucking truck all over Minneapolis. Can someone please send that idea to Jake Lang? Because that would be fucking. Maybe Jake Lang is in the back of this truck sitting on a throne of some sort. If anyone would actually pull a stunt like that, it would be Jake Lang. So I think that everyone needs to go and suggest this idea to him so that he actually does this, because that would be, Jake, we will crowdfund this shit for you. Would everyone contribute to getting a Pope mobile for Jake Lang to drive him around Minneapolis with a fucking speaker? Oh, man. It would be incredible. It would be amazing.
Where we know people from all over the world, right? Just walking around the streets. I'm gonna meet people from 30 different countries if I'm just walking around in St. Paul or Minneapolis, right? And that's what makes these cities great. And that's why we have some of the best healthcare and more Fortune 500 companies than anywhere else in this country. And we, amazing social services and just wealth and abundance and like the best place to raise a family. That all comes from diversity, inclusion, and egalitarianism. Like everybody gets a share before anybody really gets seconds. Like you don't see a lot of people in Minnesota taking from others, right? You see a lot of giving and you see a lot of like cooperation, but not at the expense of, right? Until you get to policing, right? Now all of a sudden you realize that there's a bunch of police in Minneapolis throughout most of my life that were just beating and harassing and stalking and just destroying the Black community, keeping them in low-income housing neighborhoods that were brutalized by these, we know teams of police that identified as white nationalists, so white supremacists, like slave catchers. That's insane to think, but in 2020, we had a bunch of police officers running around with Punisher tattoos, collecting little stars or whatever for all of the people they killed on duty. That was existing throughout the police force in the United States of America. That's organized crime kind of stuff. It RICO.
Just so you guys know, we're only 20 minutes into this interview. The stream has gone on for an hour and a half. That's pretty typical of us. But what I will say is this. I am absolutely convinced Kyle is real. I think this is real. I think he's absolutely real. I think he absolutely is Antifa. The reason I say that is he understands their ideology completely. He's using all the same words as them. You can tell he's been in far left subcultures. He understands all of this stuff. This is not a social media act. He is real. This is the real deal. So
charge things, right? And we're supposed to have law and order because we're supposed to subscribe to this civility. And we agreed on that through all of this democratic process. And then we got soft and we just let the government revert back to authoritarianism, the monarchy. If it's not a king, it's not the president. We're just treating the president like a king now. No. Fascism is that it's the billionaires supporting the suppression of free speech in support of this ethnic cleansing that's going on, trying to remove all of these, Black and brown bodies from their country, and then wield that authority for a war machine. They're talking about invading Greenland and the whole Western Hemisphere and all that stuff. They can only do that with the American people, right? And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to turn us into the same kind of docile, unresponsive masses that were in Germany that didn't even really realize the war was going on. That's why they silence people. That's where that silencing dissent part comes into fascism.
The only weird thing about him is that he seems completely unconcerned with surveillance culture. 100%. And I still wonder why that is. I wonder if he would talk to me. I wonder, do you guys think he would come on my channel? I would interview him exactly like I interviewed Chandler. Not even joking. I would let him say whatever the fuck he wants to say. I wouldn't be mean to him. I think I would like him to come on my channel. I think I'm gonna try to do that.
Yeah.
So today, being anti-fascist is really being against that establishment. It's the prison industrial complex, it's corporate America and their suppression of wages and their profiteering, and they're just, I mean, we have these billionaires that are worth enough money to end world hunger and solve for world peace, but instead they're buying super yachts and trying to go to Mars and, you know, supporting a president that's, I mean, I would consider this a fascist coup. He's trying to do what Hitler did and establish control through the media, through the propaganda machine, by manipulating messages like mine. My message went out and it was very clear. They took my words off the internet and now you can find little clips and quotes of only the part where I said, get your guns, right? Yep. Not
Oh no, not taking things out of context. That would never happen on the internet, Kyle. Grim, thanks for the super chat. He doesn't care about surveillance because he believes it isn't necessary to hide anymore. I don't think that that's true because surveillance culture is not just about you. Surveillance culture is also about all your comrades. Remember, you're looking at this as an individualist. He doesn't look at it that way. He looks at it as he's part of a collective and he has a responsibility to take care of everyone else in the community. So it's not about this, but I do appreciate the super chat. Thanks so much.
the part where I said they're killing innocent people in the streets and they're coming for you too if you're not going to stand up and defend yourselves. The police are not coming. The National Guard are not doing anything to stop what they're doing in our communities. That means it's on us. So this is, we got to talk about the constitutional part of this, right?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Let me defend my message to the entire world here for a second. The Constitution is not just a set of arbitrary rights. We're not just talking about a bunch of things that are cool to have and know, right? This is a roadmap to establishing freedom and democracy in the new world. That's how they thought of it. This was a framework for which you guarantee freedom for everybody. And it starts with the freedom of speech. Democracy is the free exchange of ideas. We all get to say our piece. If you say some dumb shit, you're going to hear about it, right? If you say some smart shit, everybody's going to fucking jump on board. But freedom of speech guarantees that in a democracy, every voice has a chance to be heard. And we protect the First Amendment with the Second Amendment, which is the right to bear arms, which if you talk to conservatives means everybody gets to have an arsenal.
Do you know how many conservatives I've heard say we protect the First Amendment with the Second Amendment? I cannot believe he just said that. Wow. Wow. Wow.
Worthy to wage war in their basement. And, for all of my life and all of the conservative people that I've grown up around, they're going to come back in, aren't they?
He understands the right.
Stood on the Second Amendment in defense of school shooters, in defense of all of these things, saying that, we can't take away the right to bear arms because then the government can just come and take away our rights. And they're right. That's exactly it. That's why the founders said the right to bear arms may not be infringed. A well-regulated militia necessary to protecting our freedoms. Everybody has the right to bear arms.
Thanks so much for the super chat, Wolf. I really do appreciate it. Do you think if you introduce yourself as an anti-communist, he will call you a fascist? Yes. To the left, anyone that is not a communist is a fascist. If you believe in private property ownership or capitalism, you are a fascist. Doesn't matter if you're a classical liberal or an independent or a libertarian. If you believe in private property ownership, you are a fascist to them. So do you think his might be too smart to fall for that? Or do you think he might be, no. He believes that. He believes that. He believes that with every fiber of his being. I understand why you're asking the question, though. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, if I contact, well, I mean, also, I do kind of have fascist in a lot of my social media bios, and I say I'm a fascist on this channel, and surely he's probably going to see if I talk to him, he's going to see a clip of me somewhere where I say I'm much more fascist than Donald Trump could ever hope to be. He's gonna I pretty much own the fascist thing at this point. I'm not actually really ashamed of it. And so he's going to know that would he call me a fascist? Yes. But I also do call myself that. So that's okay. He can call me a fascist. I don't really care.
Now, that's what we're seeing proof positive of like why right now. We now have a federal government, meaning no individual state or like judicial control over it. It's just the federal government has put together a massed paramilitary force that is heavily armed with military equipment, surveillance, drones, this whole infrastructure behind it, and a $30 billion budget or something absurd like that, right? They're paying people bounties for arrests. They give agents like $1,000 bonus for every arrest, and they're like, they get coins, and they're turning it into a blood sport to go and send these masked gunmen into the streets to hunt, kidnap, and even now murder U.S. citizens. That's why a well-regulated militia is necessary to defending our rights, because here's where the Third Amendment comes in. And you can start to see how this is a roadmap, right? We are standing on each one. That's wrong. You can't shoot somebody like that. I will not let you shoot somebody like that because I have a gun too. You're going to bring all your friends to town? Well, it's the Third Amendment. We do not quarter troops, foreign or domestic, on U.S. soil. We don't even keep our military here. You don't train in the military on U.S. soil. You train on foreign soil. And all of these bases are highly regulated. Talk to anybody who's in the military about coming on and off base. We don't quarter troops on U.S. soil, whether they're U.S. or foreign. It's just never been allowed for this exact reason. When you build an army of people with their own guns and their own stuff, and you march into a city, it becomes a very real problem, doesn't it? Look at what we're seeing happen. There are 3,000 agents in a city of 400,000 people. There are only 1,500 deployed to LA, city of 6 million? Do the math. Such an overwhelming amount of force to be using against a bunch of moms blowing fucking rape whistles in the street. What are we talking about? They have MRAPs that they're running down the street. They're bringing buses full of prison guards into our college campus areas to hotels where they're staying, and they're using CS gas on college students, protesting them by keeping them awake, banging drums and singing songs and telling them to go home. Right?
Yeah, all the college kids are doing, guys, is banging drums and singing songs. That's it. They're just having band practice in the middle of the street next to hotels that ICE is staying in. They're just trying to practice. They just, that's the very best place and the very best time for them to have band practice. All those college kids in the middle of the street making noise until all hours of the fucking night. And also, don't pay attention when they bring a giant ass sledgehammer to break the signs of the hotels or break all the windows or spray paint it all with graffiti. Don't worry about that. This is band practice, guys. They're just singing songs out in the middle of the fucking street. It was basically a parade. That's exactly right, Bob. This is basically a parade. What the fuck are people so upset about?
At no point have any Minneapolis protesters been aggressive towards ICE before ICE was aggressive towards them. We'll go out, we'll put a camera in your face, and we'll tell you to go away, and we'll tell you you're not welcome here. We'll blow our whistles, honk our horns, and make your life really miserable. And then they get frustrated, and they start beating people. And then people say, no, you can't beat my neighbor, and try and stop that. And then they pull out guns and shoot them. And that's now been duplicated twice, but we've also seen that happening with all of these Black Lives Matter cases for 15 years of my adult life. So it's a systematic thing. That's what they're being trained to do. And so now we're seeing them organize as a military doing the same thing. It's not a police force that's regulated by a city or a state. There's no accountability to a process here. This is a president's private military that has no face, has no names, operating with an insane budget on civilian streets in U.S. soil, being housed by the Hilton family is doing this? Is that what I'm supposed to understand, that U.S. citizens are also aiding and abetting in a fascist paramilitary force occupying another city from another state? So now it's state by state war. No one started a civil war but Trump himself. He came here and started shooting people in the streets, and no one's shot back. So that's where the Fourth Amendment comes in. I don't need to use my gun to have my gun to defend myself, right? Take off your mask, put down your guns. We are not the violent ones. You can go home, boys. Please leave our city. We need to know who you are. We need to disarm you because you have been bad and you're using your toys to murder our friends. I'm sorry. Like, you are not good gun owners. You're not the good guys with guns if you're killing a lesbian mother of 3 in her minivan out front of her own
Hey,
home.
thanks, Glenn, for the
honking
super
her
through the
hornets.
Cash App. I appreciate it.
The flavor of just disgusting that has to exist for you to try and spin Renee Good's murder as an officer being attacked with a vehicle. I will stand in the street right now and you can drive 30 miles an hour straight at me with your car and I will not draw my gun and I will go home just fine.
Domestic terrorism is what they call it.
So they are the domestic terrorists, right? And let's define domestic terrorism. Domestic being like homeland, our country. Here within our country, terrorism being the, use of fear and violent tactics to quell large numbers of civil unrest or protests, right? Like the terrorism comes when you're manipulating an entire population through violence, violent media.
So the definition of terrorism is preventing them from setting up barricades in the street and preventing them from creating their own checkpoints and preventing them from getting in the way of ICE operations and preventing them from doing noise protests until all hours of the night outside of hotels and preventing them from doing protests in neighborhoods where that may not want those people there. That is literally their definition of terrorism, guys. He just said it. The definition of terrorism is preventing us from doing whatever the fuck we want. Thanks, I appreciate that. I know I we'll see if something comes of it. I appreciate it.
Through, acts of terror, right? So a domestic force of US citizens conscripted by the federal government to go into cities and kick in doors, kidnap immigrants and people of color without judicial warrants, without any kind of due process, and without any state or local oversight, are somehow justified because the president said he wanted them to do what they're doing. There's no due process in any of that. Like we have that there's a whole world of Fourth Amendment violations there and so many other violations like of other constitutions that we don't have to go through it, but the whole point is, in our world, you guys have broken laws, you're criminals, and you need to be like sanctioned and dealt with appropriately through due process and the full extent of the law, right? You can disarm yourselves, you can identify yourselves, and you can go home in peace. In your world, in their world, in the Trump politics, in the Christine Nome thing,
Thank you.
The DMs I'm receiving.
Again, though, I said this earlier, I'm going to say it again. It is not helpful to say they're delusional. It's not helpful. When you say someone is delusional, you dismiss them as a threat. So saying he's delusional dismisses him as a threat. He is a threat. His ideology is a threat. His friends are a threat. Saying they're delusional dismisses them, and I don't find it to be useful. I'm going to keep the money, though. Thanks for the money. I appreciate it. Karlyn, how do you not have extreme rage, anxiety, or depression after years? Weed. I was depressed for years when I first started learning this. Go back and watch my videos 2 years ago. I was real pissed off. I was being gang stalked on the internet 2 years ago, and that kind of sucked. But I used to be really fucking pissed. And then, weed really does help. That's the best advice I have, honestly.
Is that we're all going to be sterilized and euthanized.
Also, I've come to a place of acceptance that there's not really anything that I can do to change this. Have some mods look at Rumble. What the fuck is going on Rumble? Please have someone cover Rumble. I'm still okay. Thank you, Effectual Insurrection. I appreciate that. What the fuck is going on Rumble? I don't see anything going on Rumble. Anyway, I've also come to a place of acceptance with this where all I can do is study them. I enjoy studying them. I enjoy understanding this ideology. I enjoy getting very wonky about this particular thing. I can't stop any of it. I'm not in a decision-making position. No one listens to me. Or more people listen to me now than have previously. But I've really come to a place of acceptance with it where I'm like, well, this is out of my hands. I tried warning people. No one fucking listened. I tried offering strategies for people to be able to fight back against it. No one fucking listened. I have tried to beat back conservative retardation at every single step, and the conservative retards just get more and more retarded. And then everyone became obsessed with Israel, and most conservatives went and said, Israel are our greatest allies, and everyone who disagrees with that is an anti-Semite. And then they became obsessed about that for years, and then they excommunicated everyone who doesn't want to support Israel, and fuck Israel, I will never support Israel. And it's just like, at some point you reach a place of acceptance, you're like, it is what it is. I enjoy studying this. I enjoy researching this. I do it better than anyone else on the internet that I know of. I get to teach tens of thousands of people every single week what I know about the left. I get to enjoy my time with my friends on the internet watching protesting and watching cops use pepper spray on Antifa and stuff like that. You guys fund me to go undercover at things. I get to read a lot of crazy dystopian propaganda. I get to write books about this stuff. You know, for all the bad that's going to happen when they win, and they will win at the rate that we're going, I get to do a lot of cool stuff right now. And so how do I deal with this without getting really angry? I focus on the parts I can control, and I focus on the things I like doing, and I focus on things that make my life better and that make me feel good. And I buy lots of handbags, and I enjoy those handbags, and increasingly shoes as well. But you know, that's a different topic, I guess. But anyway, that's how I keep my sanity, guys. I was angry about this stuff for a long time. You go through phases when you first start learning about this stuff where you're probably going to get really angry. You're especially going to get angry at the people on the right who lied to you. I have just ascended beyond that now. And weed was part of that, and meditation was part of that, and shopping was part of that, and coming to a form of acceptance of the things I cannot change and focusing on the things I can control. That was all a part of that as well. So that's what I think.
And shipped out and dumped in the ocean, that we're going to go in cages, we're going to be put in forced labor camps. They're like abusing children, right? That seems like a pretty easy line to stand on one side or the other.
I've got Rumble on my screen.
You want to be on, but I will die before I cross over to their side. You're never going to see me like say, yeah, well, DHS can just do whatever they want to do, when we know that they're sexually assaulting people in those facilities. We know they're abusing children in those facilities. We know that they're violating the Constitution of the United States of America with impunity from the highest office. There's a 25th Amendment that allows us to remove a president who is violating his oath to the Constitution, or who is incapable of fulfilling it. And we need to do that right now. And they're not going to make that easy for us, because they have very much tried to seize control of the narrative, and they're manipulating this with a lot of help, right? So
they even went as far as arresting the journalist that covered the protests at the church.
He lives in Minnesota. But he lives in Minnesota. He lives in Minneapolis. I can understand why that may have been confusing, though. Yeah, he lives in Minneapolis.
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah, right. Well, and Don Lemon got arrested for publicizing that story.
Right.
But like, what was her name? Georgia Ford was in custody all morning. I mean, like, that's a wonderful part of our community that, I mean, I promise you, she's never done anything violent towards anybody in her life. And she was not a part of any kind of like terrorist organization. No, we are concerned citizens. And that's okay. So that's the real heart of this, right? They want to try and paint Minneapolis to be like some organized terrorist organization. They want me to...
he did not. Please stop making shit up. He did not just move there. He has lived there for a long. I think he has definitely lived there a long time. He did not just move to Minneapolis. We do not make shit up on this channel, guys.
be this terrorist general, you know, that is in charge of this huge network of criminals that are working against the freedom and democracy. No.
No,
After
you
George
didn't.
Floyd was murdered in
No, you didn't.
Minneapolis, we didn't really have a police
Bro.
force, you know?
No, you didn't. This is the second lie you fucking told. He literally talked about living in Minneapolis during 2020, asshole. So he has at least lived in Minneapolis for 6 fucking years. There is no universe in which you just heard him say that he just moved to Minneapolis. So, second warning, we do not make shit up on this channel.
And like there was a lot of people, a lot of gang activity, a lot of stuff kind of like
He said he's lived
changed
there
really
for
rapidly
15
overnight because
fucking years.
everybody white flighted away from the riots. He burned a police precinct, you know? It was crazy. And in the immediate aftermath, I spent a lot of time working with local community members, organizing community watches, community patrols, and rapid response because the police were not doing anything. And we were able to establish a really healthy network of hyper local like organizing, right? Literally city blocks where everybody knew each other and they would send each other direct messages about suspicious vehicles in alleyways, about people attempting to break into garages, about, you know, random things left in alleyways that turned out to be firebombing kits and stuff, right? Like there was a bunch of crazy stuff going on in the aftermath of George Floyd. And in order to deal with all that without the police, communities learned very quickly how to identify and vet each other as safe and like actual like neighbors, and then start a system of identifying potential threats and cooperating on responding to them, right? For 5 years, Minneapolis police have not been allowed to pursue. They've not been allowed to forcibly like detain somebody or like, you know, foot pursuit or any of that. They're not allowed to draw their weapons on people. Like they really like have not had police here. And that's not to say that there hasn't been all kinds of crazy shit. I mean, like Kia boys ran through this city hard, stealing cars, mugging people, all that others. I had multiple run-ins with them in Lynn Lake, you know, because I was living right in the heart of it. And we didn't deal with them with like, sorry to say, but Chicagoland gang warfare shit. No, we went out and we contacted these people and we were like, yo, plug in and get it right. We don't need gun violence in our streets. That's not how this works. We're not going to tolerate that. And if you guys want to do things, you know, we love a crash out kid. I'm a professional crash out kid. Go be about it. But like, stay away from no, there's places for that, bro. And Chicago, I think, has done a lot of the same thing where like what was always criminalized is like cliques and sets and talking all this RICO shit. No, bro. We're talking about people that needed to work together to defend themselves. We have always done that. That's the real thing that exists throughout all of human history. Community is based on this egalitarian need of like, I need you, you need me. We work together and everybody gets the fair share. Everybody gets a plate before anybody gets seconds. And if there's extra shit, we all talk about what.
No. They don't care that you guys own good. That's not true. You're thinking in two different groups. So no, you are talking about progressives. He is not a progressive. He is the Antifa. They're two different things.
To do with it. Can we flip this, make some money, or does it get spread out across the kids? Do we need to invest in something over here? Not that nobody does. You can't win the game when everybody's just working for one person to profit. But when everybody's working individually for the collective to profit,
true.
Bam, you have industry. Bam, you have community. Bam, you have fucking NGOs. All that shit. That's individuals.
We got a super chat from AC Cat. Not sure if it was mentioned, but this guy is selling Antifa hoodies. Yes, he is. They are allowed. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It is okay to engage in capitalism to fight capitalism. You're actually exactly correct. The Communist Manifesto says it is okay for them to engage in capitalism to fight capitalism. They live in a capitalist system. They have to survive in a capitalist system. The only way to survive in a capitalist system is to engage in capitalism. So it is not ironic. It is not hypocrisy. They literally have permission to do it based on their own documents. But yes, he is engaging in capitalism. He's using it to fund his revolution. So yeah. But I appreciate you pointing that out in the super chat. Well done.
working for the collective good. And when the collective is good, you're still a part of that. You're good, bro. You're in the collective. But when all of us go to work and shovel money into a system that only profits one dude, you think what you think you're gonna get? And like we've proven that here in Minneapolis. I've seen it on the streets of Chicago. I know it exists in Portland. I've seen it on the streets of LA. And I know that New York is like, I think finally getting it together across boroughs, right? That like, we don't need government to tell us how to stay safe. I don't need the police in my streets to make sure I'm okay. I individually need to be empowered to take care of myself, knowing that you individually are empowered to take care of yourself. I don't need to worry about you now. Cool. What about that person? They're good too. Cool. Now there's 3 of us. Oh, there's another one that's good. Then there's 4. Cool. Now we have a community of people that are good and we can trust and it's safe. And it's real obvious when someone comes around that isn't good and welcome in the thing, right?
Progressives don't support these people. That's a conservative talking point. Progressives don't support the same thing these people support. No, progressives are not the useful idiots to them. They are 2 different groups. They're completely different. Progressives don't support these people. These people do not support progressives. That is a conservative talking point.
They don't want us to have that because then they can't send their little fucking extortion artist Nazi gunmen out in the street with their little light up fucking Tinker Toy cars full of, military equipment to extort money out of us and impound our shit and force us to pay fees. You know that there's no like statute that requires you to pay federal law, like taxes. That's all voluntary. It's a voluntary tax system. And it was always supposed to be a voluntary tax system. I mean, they were supposed to put a referendum up for us to vote on how our taxes were spent. And instead, they've slowly worked us away from that to where an electoral college votes for this and the caucus and that. And you end up with like always the same 2 people, right? It's always the same 2 candidates. What happened to Bernie Sanders? What happened to Bernie Sanders? 3 campaigns in a row. That man had more support than we have ever seen in an election campaign.
Real.
Individual donors outpacing any kind of like, fundraising campaign we'd ever seen. And this has come from an organizer that door knocked for all kinds of stuff when I was in, my early years. I got to door knock for like the Vote No campaign to legalize gay marriage here in Minneapolis, and like I know how the petition and the lobby system works, right? So for Bernie Sanders to have the amount of individual donors that he had and build the network that he had and be completely blacked out of media and not even talked about on any mainstream channels, not even his name won't even be said on like NPR, that tells you something, right? 2 wings of government, 2 branches of government, same fascist animal, same fascist tree. They're collaborating with.
For everyone who thinks that these are Democrats and that Democrats support these people and that these people like Democrats, Kyle is right now shitting on the Democrats and saying the Democrats are no different than the Republicans. They are 2 wings of the same animal. Democrats are fascist too. Fuck Democrats. We hear them do this all the time. Do you know how we know the left does not support the Democrats and they don't like Democrats? Because they will tell you that overtly every single chance they get. The far left talks about how much they hate the Democrats in exactly the same quantity as I talk about how much conservatives are retards. How would their economy work around? I have no idea what that is, bro. I have no idea what that means. But they don't believe in private property, so maybe start there. But I truly have no idea what you're talking about right now. Thanks for the super chat. Again, please, Kyle.
Network that he had and be completely blacked out of media and not even talked about on any mainstream channels, not even his name won't even be said on like NPR. That tells you something, right? 2 wings of government, 2 branches of government, same fascist animal.
Oh no. You're yelling so loud, you hurt my ears. Bro, you're gonna make me come over to Twitter and block you, aren't you? Fuck. I fucking hate going over to Twitter just to block retards in the chat on Twitter. It's like so annoying. Like why? Like seriously. Why do you make me do this? Why do you waste our fucking time complaining about things that don't fucking matter. I don't like your voice, and I'm gonna let the left win because I don't like your voice, and why don't you shut up? You're too loud. Block. Sorry for you guys that had to be listen to me be really annoying. I apologize to everyone who I just annoyed with my very annoying voice, but Chuck gave me some channel memberships, so it was worth it. W's for Chuck. Thanks, bro. I really appreciate it. Guys, let's check in on our goal because we do have a goal of getting 100 new channel members today. We got a little ways to go. I'm not going to lie. We currently have 41 new channel members, so we need about what if I'm doing math? 59 more channel memberships. So listen, if one of you donates 50 channel memberships right now, like we're in the running. If 3 of you donate 20 channel memberships, we're in the running. If 6 of you donate 10 channel memberships, we're going to hit that goal. If 12 of you donate 5 channel memberships, see, I'm doing math in my head right now. That's how important this is. We will hit that goal. So please, guys, help me get a goal of getting 100 new members on the stream. Members get access to Spy Stream. This is how we spread the wealth. If you've ever been gifted a channel membership, please consider gifting a channel membership to other people. Look at this! 20 W's to Greek Heat. Massive W, bro. Massive, massive, massive W. Thanks so much. Welcome to 20 new members on the channel. And like that, guys, just like that, we are 43 some odd, I think. Wait, did we just get more? I'm gonna have to do math again. 5 more W's for Ken in the chat. Thanks so much, Ken, for your generous donation. Welcome to 5 new channel members. Okay, let me look at the thing, and then I have to do math. We need 33 more. 33 more channel memberships. We hit our goal, and I would really appreciate it. Let's keep going.
Same fascist tree. They're collaborating with each other, bouncing this power dynamic back and forth, exploiting you and me. And that's why it's just continued and continued and continued and continued. Establishment is establishment.
Hang on.
What are they actually
I gotta
doing?
pause this. I gotta pause this. I think we're gonna hit that goal. I think you guys are about to hit the fucking goal. W's for Tolkien fan, 5 channel memberships. W's for Melissa, 10 gifted channel memberships. W's for Cynthia with a 5 gifted channel membership. W's for Dorfus giving a channel membership. How do we need? We need 13 more, guys. 13 more. We are almost there. You guys rule. We have the best community on the internet. Thank you all for gifting out 87 channel memberships so far, getting 87 more people access to Spy Stream. We only got 13 more, and I know someone's going to get there. I know you guys are going to do it. I believe in you.
With our tax money? What are they actually doing with all of this? They're bailing out the richest people in the world. They're printing money. They're literally...
We got another W for Cynthia, another 5. We got one from Casual Crypt, W's for Casual Crypt. Ty just became a member. Welcome, Ty, to the channel. Welcome to the cult, bro. We appreciate it. We got a $2 super chat on Rumble. Mean Karlyn, best Karlyn. This is another problem with conservatives. The giant lack of criticism of capitalism. Easy for the left to fill that void because there are many anti-capitalism points are valid. Yeah, capitalism is not a perfect system. I'll tell you that. But you know what? It's what we have, and it's better than communism. And we got W's in the chat for Wolf. 10 gifted channel memberships. Guys, we met our goal. We did it. I knew you guys could do it. 103 new members of the channel, and you aren't even done yet. James is giving out some memberships. W's to James. Awesome. Awesome. Let's see a whole chat full of purses, guys. We hit our purse goal for the day. I really appreciate all you. You guys are the best. Thank you for allowing me to do what I do. You guys aren't even done yet. Cynthia with another 5 W's for Cynthia in the chat. We got Chicalago here. W's for Chicalago. 5 gifted channel memberships. You guys rock. Best chat on the internet by far. Best chat. Whose chat is the best chat? Mine. My chat. No one else gives out channel memberships like mine does. That is 118 new members of the channel. You guys rule. Thank you for allowing me to do what I do. And what's the next purse? I don't know, man. I don't know. We will have to let fate. I'm watching an auction right now, so who knows what I might buy tonight, or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just have a day where I don't buy a purse. That'd be pretty rad too. W's, guys. Thank you for supporting my work. I really do appreciate it.
Taxing us out of existence. They have completely defunded all of our social programs, and they are waging a war with a $1 trillion budget. It's insanity. And we're willingly participating in it simply because they have distracted us with all this consumer stuff, all of it. It's a very comfortable life to just live under fascism, right? As long as you're not the people fascism doesn't like.
Wow. And
Fascism's great.
And that's why we need to gain power, guys. That's why we need to be the ones in power. The problem is not fascism inherently. The problem is who is in power in the fascist society. If our people are in power in the fascist society, we win and we're going to have a great and comfortable life. If they are in power in a fascist society, life is going to fucking suck. Okay? So remember, fascism isn't inherently bad. It all depends on who the fascist leader is. And if it's the right fascist leader, fascism can actually be pretty fucking awesome. This is what happens when you get a hater. See, it is. It is. Welcome, Ty. We appreciate you.
Consumer stuff, all of it. It's a very comfortable life to just live under fascism, right? As long as you're not the people fascism doesn't like. Fascism's great for all the white privileged people in our community. It's doing good things for Hollywood, bro. And then when you go walk down fucking Sunset Boulevard, you tell me about the people living in the streets. That's a necessary part of capitalism, is that those people have to suffer with nothing so that these people can have more than they could ever eat.
He just called capitalism fascism. Everyone understands that, right? Kyle just said the quiet part out loud, which is when he says capitalism, he actually means, or when he says fascism, he's referring to capitalism, private property ownership. To the left, anyone who is not a communist is a fascist. Anyone who wants to be able to own a home is a fascist. Anyone that wants to be able to own a business is a fascist. Anyone that believes in parental rights is a fascist. Anyone that wants to work hard and accumulate wealth and have a nice life, he considers you to be a fascist.
As long as you're not the people fascism doesn't like. Fascism's great for all the white privileged people in our community. It's doing good things for Hollywood, bro. And then when you go walk down fucking Sunset Boulevard, you tell me about the people living in the streets. That's a necessary part of capitalism, is that those people have to suffer with nothing so that these people can have more than they could ever eat. It only exists in the same thing because of the systems that we're using, bro. And they don't like me saying, arm yourselves and march in the streets, because when everybody individually exercises their rights without needing the government and the organizational shit to understand right and wrong, it gets done in an instant. There's no conversation to be had here with ICE. No one's brought their guns out yet, boys. You don't think that in a city of 400,000 people, we can meet 3,000 on 3,000 in the streets? And we live here. We don't need to march out. We'll shoot you from our living rooms. You come down our streets. It's the United States of America. China won't invade us because of how many guns are in our streets and in our homes. And they're there to protect us from things like ICE. That was what the founding fathers put it in there. And that's what all of these gun-toting NRA cucks have been screaming for my entire lifetime, to defend letting someone like Kyle Rittenhouse, a 17-year-old kid, buy an AR through his mom at a Walmart, drive across state lines with it, shoot an unarmed peaceful protester in the street, get taken out of there by the police, safely sent home with his gun to his mother, and then now he's parading around. He's a multi-millionaire, made superstar boy, child, whatever, by a bunch of pedophile supporting psychopaths that want to euthanize half of the United States of America.
Wow, Kyle.
Yo, I'm not the terrorist here. I haven't swung on anyone. I don't have a gun. I'm running around in 3A plate carriers with people watching my back because I put a target on it, expecting them to come and fucking shoot at me. Jaden Scott wants a cage fight. Did you see that one yesterday?
Yeah.
Dude won't even show his face in our streets. Ask Lang how that went.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what about Jake?
We let him go. He
And
came here and he got hands put on him.
And he's coming back this weekend. If people don't know, Jake Lang is doing another stunt in Minneapolis this weekend. I, of course, will be covering the entire thing because that is just good entertainment. If you're looking forward to Jake Lang's triumphant return to Minneapolis, please make sure you mount the like button. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm just gonna clear my day on Saturday because I just have a feeling we're gonna see a lot of shit on Saturday, and it's gonna be deeply, deeply, deeply entertaining.
And we walked him through this whole city. Let him go. They took all of his shit off of him and let him go. But we had to, I mean, the things that he was saying, I mean, any grown man said that to my face, you're getting swung on and I might not stop. He's talking about genocide, talking about like raping our women and children and kidnapping them, putting them in slave camps and like horrible, demonic, nasty, evil shit coming from these people's mouths. And they're being met with a bunch of singing mothers and clapping hands and drums. We played Frozen music for him to drown out his hate so that the people in the streets didn't have to hear that vitriol, right? So for them to silence those, like, no, it's a pretty obvious contrast to what they're actually doing, right? And, you know, for the record, when guys like me show up and ICE is there, they don't put hands on me like that. They treat me like Alex. So if that's what it is, you know, they're talking about civil war. All these guys want to come to the cities and bring their guns and kill all the libs. Let's look at the actual demographics of the United States of America real quick. Okay, like everybody living this 1950s daydream, like we're still some white picket fence America post fucking World War II. No, bro. Like millennials and younger account for 60% of the population, and we are the most diverse generations consecutive. Blah blah blah. You add Generation A in there.
Hey, thanks so much for the super chat, Master Shake. The left is going to reach COVID levels of anti-ICE mass hysteria this summer. Oh, I think it's not even going to take till this summer, bro. I think we're already... Listen, I really do mean this. Guys, I now exist on Instagram in a leftist ecosystem of propaganda. The levels of hysteria about ICE on leftist social media, it's already insane. I post so many videos. If you guys aren't following me on Twitter, make sure you follow me on Twitter. I'm Dr. Karlyn B on Twitter. That's my profile photo right there. That's the only one that's me. If you don't see 122,000 followers, that is not me. Okay. There are people who make accounts to mock me and like make fun of me on Twitter. I am the only one with 122,000 followers. So make sure you guys are following me on Twitter. Let me put the link in the chat. And the reason I want to make sure everyone is following me and has notifications turned on is because I have been posting leftist propaganda on my Twitter, like the very best ones that I find. But just understand that for every single piece of leftist propaganda I post on Twitter, there are probably 20 that I see that I don't post. Because that's how much there is right now. The left is working themselves up into a giant hysterical mob. And it's not going to end well. I promise you. You guys thought 2020 was bad? Oh, just wait. Just wait until the level of bullshit we have in a month or two. But it's going to be good for me and it's going to be a lot of good content. So, you know, whatever.
And we're pushing like 78% of the population right now. Like boomers are dying and Gen X is like, our parents are maybe 20%. The rest of it's all these young people and they have information. They know what's what, right? So we're safety in numbers.
Bro, so this guy says, my colleagues, lawyers, some of whom are over 60 years old, are losing their shit about ICE. I can't even talk to them. Bro, I had to, hang on. Sorry. I had to call my mother yesterday to talk about something else. And listen, my mother is an older woman. I love my mother. I'm not trying to shit talk my mother. My mother was almost in tears talking about how she would move out of the country if she could. And I'm like, I don't really think it's that bad though. And she's like, no, Karlyn, this is awful. And she went on and on and on and on and on. And I know enough about my mother to know that I'm not going to change her mind. And so I kind of just sat there and I just listened. And I kind of said every once in a while, I was like, I don't know if that's true. But does my mother know I'm a fascist? Well, you know what? I told her, I was like, Mom, I understand you believe this, but maybe you should just watch my content someday and you're going to find out what's really going on. And my mother was like, no. Like, my mother does not want to watch my internet content. And that's fine. You know, it's probably better this way that my mother does not watch my internet content. It's probably better that my mother doesn't hear me say that I want to round up all Somalians and put them in a concentration camp. It's probably better that my mother doesn't hear me talking about the Jews in Israel. Obviously, we talk about the Jews with the deepest respect and admiration. No anti-Semitism allowed, but like it's probably for the best that she doesn't listen to my channel. But yeah, the struggle is real, guys. We are fucked. We are completely fucked.
Come together peacefully in the streets, it's overwhelming. I mean, when you do that across city and city and city and city, the national numbers don't even play out. Like, they can't deploy the U.S. military on U.S. streets because those are the people's families that are walking around out there, bro. It's untenable. What they're doing doesn't ever actually get them where they wanted to go, which is domination over a free people and like the longest standing democracy in the world. What are you talking about? Stop. We the people have been a thing in the hearts and minds of the world and the leader of the free world since we dropped nukes over this problem. Okay? So it's time for American people to stand on that business and stop the erasure of our civil liberties, the erasure of our basic human rights. And we have to decide that we want to be okay and be good people, right? Individually, decide that we're not going to tolerate the tyranny and that we are not going to meet it with this violent, and there's no ripping. We don't have to tear this thing apart. We built all of this, bro. We just have to not let the billionaires and the psycho, these weird people, they're weird people. There's not a lot of them. I don't think that we're even talking about 10% of the population that really supports what's going on. And that's the 10% of the population actively participating in it. I think when you really have a conversation with most people, they can't stand for it. You're not going to convince your dumb uncle who loves Trump to actually take up a gun and go shoot an immigrant. They're cowards. And most of them are pretty dumb, apparently, because they can't see the writing
real,
on the
Kyle.
wall right in front of their face.
So real.
So, I mean, we have a blueprint, right? And there's guys like Greg Stoke in Texas running for governor who get it, right? We cannot do another two-party vote for institutional bullshit and expect anything to change, right?
Yes, I can. The question is, thank you, Sherry. Can you explain why he praises democracy and communism at the same time? Because to the left, the only true form of democracy is communism and socialism. And I use the words communism and socialism interchangeably because they use them interchangeably. When the left says democracy, they don't mean what we have right now. They mean the world after capitalism. Democracy means socialism. So that's why.
Even if the Democrats got elected, they're going to use the exact same weapons that the Republicans are. What we need is a socialist revolution here in the United States. And that's so scary because nobody knows what it means.
Oh, yeah?
Nobody. We have a hard time with these.
We need a socialist revolution in the United States, Kyle. Please tell us more about what the socialist revolution looks like. Yeah, ding, ding, ding. Thank you, Kyle, for explaining that to everyone. Thanks so much for the super chat, Dorfus. Kyle is spitting the truth and beliefs despite being prone to hyperbole on message lies. He's a true radical and fanatic. Oh yeah, this guy's legit. This guy knows what he's talking about.
Got elected, they're going to use the exact same weapons that the Republicans are. What we need is a socialist revolution here in the United States. And that's so scary because nobody knows what it means. We have a hard time with these because nobody's like really in touch with the definition. I shouldn't say nobody, but a lot of normal people just haven't cared and they don't want to tap in, and it's not that big a deal, bro. Well, no, I mean, it really is, right? Right now, a few people own everything, right? BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard have consolidated wealth into just like this revolving door of hedge funds that literally profit endlessly off of the actual working class, the actual like production of our labor. As a carpenter, it's a simple term. I build you a deck, you pay me $35 an hour, you sell that deck for $35,000, and you make 20 grand, I make 2 grand, you make 3,000% or whatever absurd difference that is, and that's somehow good and fair and legal because we just agreed to it. But in reality, you're exploiting my labor. I should get my fair share regardless of how you.
Then go start your own deck building company, Kyle. If you want to make the $30,000, then you need to go start the deck building company. You need to invest in all the tools that you use to build the decks. You need to buy all the materials to build the decks. You need to find the customers who you sell the decks to, and you need to go do the labor to actually build the fucking deck. If you want all the profit, then don't work for someone else. Just start your own deck building company.
Think you can exploit it and take care of it. We agree to these contracts. We agree to this as business as normal. This isn't normal. This is a very new thing. We didn't even have credit scores until I was born. We've had credit and this kind of like institutional lending for about 40 years. That's all I was. Before that, it was like pretty straightforward. Like if you wanted a loan, you had to go to the bank with collateral, and you were like you're borrowing against something. You know, they've been slowly pulling us away from autonomy and our ability to just care for ourselves by feeding us all of this consumer garbage and restricting our access to the information, like and cutting us off from community. That's what it is. I mean, I know some amazing people that are just so gifted and so talented, and they put some amazing content on the internet sharing their art or sharing their knowledge, and people don't care because they're just bombarded with this garbage content all of the time that's 100% meant to distract them from things like what's happening right here in Minneapolis.
Yeah, they say right now, all this stuff with ICE is supposed to be distracting us from the Epstein files.
Thank you. Where the fuck are the Epstein files, bro?
Come on. Like 3 million pages.
That's even just the tip of the iceberg, because then once you get through the Epstein files, we can go through all the files of the rest of these dudes that need to be in cages, bro. Where are the Epstein files? But not just where are the Epstein files.
No, they were released today.
3 million today?
Yes.
When did I miss? Dude,
This
I've been
was
too
when we was
busy.
getting ready.
Yeah, you were just talking about
And yeah, they got Donald Trump in there. They said Donald Trump was raping little girls.
Yeah, and little boys apparently.
Yeah.
You know, we've known it though. We've known it. Now we just have the evidence. Okay, so here's the thing. I know for a fact that the International Criminal Court is seeking.
What do you guys think is actually going to happen with the Epstein files? I honestly, I haven't been paying attention to it at all because I'm trying to keep my head in the leftist stuff. I was thinking about watching Owen Schroyer's show on it because I know Owen Schroyer's really into this stuff and I like listening to him, and he's not bad to look at, honestly. And so I was thinking about watching that to kind of get a sense of like what the fuck is even going on. But yeah, you guys think nothing's going to happen with it? Yeah, that's probably true. I have seen some crazy shit just like here and there floating around the internet. It's kind of like, oh, fuck. Like several royal families are fucked because of this. It might lead to the abolition of like all the monarchies in Europe. Like, but yeah, probably nothing's going to happen.
Charges against the Trump administration. I know for a fact that there is a
Nick
massive
is doing a deep dive on
population of
Friday.
like,
Okay.
good,
Thank
honest,
you.
hardworking Americans on both sides of the aisle. Fuck political affiliations. I don't care where you vote. I'm talking just straight up principle, standing on the Constitution, like everything I was just talking about, that are not about to let this stand, right? No one's shot back, no one's fought back, and no one, like, because of the threat of violence, right? But the numbers number pretty easily. If these marches were directed at ICE facilities and we peacefully protested where the actual ICE agents were, we would have plenty more than enough people to disarm them, identify them, and make sure that they were no longer a threat in our community. Like, I know Chicago, last I checked, Chicago didn't even have 2,000 ICE agents, right? Mm-hmm. Bro, There are 20,000 people in Chicago right now doing fucking nothing that could be standing around making sure ICE was 100% eyes on them, could not harm another person right now.
Yeah.
And if you just had a few people capable of responding to violence in that whole 20,000 person crowd, and by respond to violence, I'm just going to let y'all interpret that how you want, but like, you know,
Respond to
legally
violence.
empowered to be carrying the adequate equipment to respond to an ICE agent that was acting extrajudicially to execute another one of our citizens, say. I'm just trying to be really academic here.
Yeah.
If there was 200 ICE agents in the street and 200 dudes with guns in a 20,000 person crowd, what are they going to do? We put them back where they came from. We disarm them. We identify them. We send them home safely, and we follow through with the investigations and the documentation. Everyone in the Epstein.
Guys, I really want everyone to understand this. If the left gets back into power, and they probably will, there are going to be trials around fucking everything. Not only the Epstein stuff, which I do think they'll pursue when it's politically convenient against Donald Trump, but also the left wants to arrest all ICE agents and put them through a Nuremberg trial. So when the left wins the midterms, we should just prepare ourselves that the House of Representatives is going to be a giant ass shit show for a couple of years. Again, though, it'll be entertaining.
Files, everyone in ICE, the whole administration, you can all face charges. The Nuremberg trials were a thing for a decade. We got all the time in the world.
See?
I'm only
Nuremberg.
38. I'll make a fucking career out of this and die a happy man knowing that every one of these Nazis was identified and prosecuted under the full extent of the law.
See?
But there's no country until we do that. There's no United States of America until we address the fact that our president is a child rapist, pedophile, sex trafficker who is hiding behind a whole host of very wealthy child trafficking pedophiles in governments around the world, in positions of power around the world. All of them. Assets seized and returned to the people. We pay off all of these problems just by seizing. I mean, I already know the names that are in there. It's great. It's fine. We're fine. But that's the only thing that matters right now. And they're trying to stop that by doing all this other stuff, right? We the people, it's an individual thing. There's no generals in this fight. Everybody plays a part, and not everybody's part is the same, right? There are those of us that need to go and confront people like ICE agents that are potential armed gunmen in the streets, right? There are thousands of them around, and they need to be disarmed, and they need to be identified, and we may get shot at in that process. I get the impression that a lot of these guys aren't going to want to just go peacefully, right? So to every individual that might hear this, you know, nationally, here as a U.S.
Let them try, come arrest us. We're going to show them we got all the guns. 1776, we'll go to Civil War.
Bro, literally shut the fuck up or go do something. Like, literally, I don't want to.
They don't know who they're messing with. We're reaching an inflection point. They don't want to set us up. We got all the guns of 1776.
Literally shut the fuck up or go do something. I don't want to hear any of this like shit anymore in my chat.
Citizens, you have to consider individually for yourself where you stand on that, where you stand if they're in your community. Because in this process, we're going to have to confront these folks that support these ideas. We're going to have to identify more than just the people with the guns in our streets, but also the people who would seek to maintain these ideas as well, right? It's our friends and our neighbors. And we're going to have a really long, hard process here of understanding that all of these problems are rooted in our systemic governmental deficiencies, right?
Capitalism.
We can engineer a lot of that out of the system. And that's essentially what they've done for themselves, right? They own these really powerful tools, and they deprive the rest of us from having access to them. And in doing so, they're able to exploit us. Large language models, AI, you know, the algorithms behind social media, the online banking tools, all of these like institutionalized.
This is a great point. What an interesting time for James Lindsay to completely ignore the left. Master Shake wants me to do a James Lindsay episode. I don't want to do a James Lindsay episode. I don't think people need to be subjected to any more of James Lindsay. James Lindsay is a fucking clown on the internet now that is like literally the only thing that James is making money off of right now is tweets. And so can we just not? I won, James lost, we defeated him, he's gone now, he's not relevant, we're not dealing with his bullshit anymore.
Enterprise that's privately owned and profits like just like very few individuals is in reality the infrastructure of our salvation from that problem, right? The issue is we all need a piece of it. If there was an egalitarian wealth distribution system within our country, in America, you know, if we had some kind of mechanism to guarantee basic universal rights, right? Like that you got a house, you got food, you got education, you got access to the internet, you know, whatever you need, you don't have to work for it. No one has to work for it. And from there, you can take your piece of the pie and go play in the free market and gamble the way you want, make your better.
This is a good point. And don't think I'm not listening to him. I can do two things at once. We haven't forgotten about Andy No yet. Andy No's day of fucking reckoning will come. We need to take advantage of every opportunity we can to expose Andy No for the liar and con artist that he is, misinforming people so he can make a personal profit, ignoring evidence when it contradicts the narrative that Andy No is trying to tell. Andy No doesn't even do real journalism. Andy No doesn't even live in the United States. Andy No pays other people to do his journalism for it, and then he puts it out as though he does anything productive. Andy No being a fucking Twitter journalist that doesn't even fucking live here. We haven't forgotten about this shit yet. Andy No, I am ascendant. Andy No is the next target, and he better fucking know he has a target on his back. He wants to fucking lie to people about the thing that I'm an expert in. He's gonna get it. He's gonna get his. And I think it's already very clear to anyone paying attention who is actually covering what the left is doing and who is engaging in conservative buffoonery and narrative shilling. And if you guys think that Andy No's telling you the truth, just watch this content that I show you for like a couple weeks, and you're going to see how much Andy No lies to you.
Mousetrap, find your fucking people, you know, build your empire. It's still there, but it's not predicated on somebody else's loss, on somebody else suffering, right? That's a simple thing to do. That's what the Constitution was pointing at this entire time. Like we were trying to get there with democracy, and the evolution of democracy is to go through that system of socialization, which means we seize the means of production as a collective, as a whole.
He just said it. He just said it. He just said it. What did I tell you earlier? When they say democracy, they mean socialism. They think the only true form of democracy is socialism. In order to achieve democracy, we have to go through socialization. We have to seize the means of production. He just fucking said it. Kyle. Kyle is our new best friend, guys. We love Kyle. Kyle likes saying the quiet part out loud, and he says it in such an approachable way. Thank you, Kyle. We appreciate it.
Fucking people, you know, build your empire. It's still there, but it's not predicated on somebody else's loss, on somebody else suffering, right? That's a simple thing to do. That's what the Constitution was pointing at this entire time. Like we were trying to get there with democracy, and the evolution of democracy is to go through that system of socialization, which means we seize the means of production as a collective, as a whole.
Communism.
And using the means of production, we establish autonomy, not governance, autonomy. This is some crazy like political theory stuff, but it's out there in the world and it's all over the place. But autonomy says that you have everything that you need for yourself and no one can take it from you, and it's not needed for you to contribute anything.
What he's talking about is everyone has access to all the resources, a redistribution of wealth. He's talking about no private property ownership. When everyone has access to all of the resources, that means private property does not exist. He's talking about, I want people to understand what this sounds like in the real world. Saying everyone has democracy happens when everyone has access to everything they need. That means communism, guys. That means all the resources are available to everyone. No one can take them away. That means no private property ownership when all the resources are available to everyone. Does everyone understand? Do I ever get tired of being right? No. No. You want to know why? Because I went through years of being shit on and defamed and laughed at all over the internet. I had people make entire fucking careers out of making fun of me and lying about me and slandering me and dragging my friends through the mud. And I was right the entire fucking time. I was just years ahead of everyone else. And so after spending years of my life being laughed at and mocked and ridiculed and defamed and having my entire life pulled apart and giving up everything I had before this in order to do this and to still not be able to get anywhere with these fucking retards on the internet, do I ever get sick of being right? Nope. Nope. I don't. I have to say no.
For it, right? You don't have to work for it. You have a house. That house produces electricity. It has fresh water, and you have the ability to grow your own food. And if in some weird world like everybody else was gone, that would exist in itself. It's autonomous, right? We used to have that. As far as I understand, it was like 30% of our agriculture was grown in our own backyards just 80 years ago. Now, no one has a garden, right? We used to have a massive middle class of unionized tradespeople that worked in all of these industries. And what happened? They were privatized. The unions were busted.
Thanks, Loki.
These new industries like social media platforms and fintech software, have backed these giant markets of information, profits based on numbers in digital spaces. But the reality is we're throwing away half of our produce every day. We're polluting our only fresh water supplies. We're, essentially destroying this planet just to further conflict that isn't really doing anything but destroying the planet. I mean, it's feeding cycle. I refer to it as the Ouroboros, right? The snake eating its own tail. Snake just eats and eats, and it can just eat more and more because it grows bigger, more and more it eats, right? But eventually it's eaten everything in its environment, and it's grown so big that it doesn't even know it's now eating its own tail, right? And so it just keeps eating, and slowly it eats itself too. And in that, it destroys the entire world. It consumes everything, and then it consumes itself. We're in the stage where the snake ate everything. Capitalism ate up all the resources in the world, all the mines and all the freshwater supplies and all the...
Guys, just so people are aware that might be new, the left believes that capitalism is literally going to kill us because they believe they believe that capitalism created climate change. Climate change is literally going to kill us. Kyle is talking about being in late stage capitalism. That's right. He's talking about capitalism is on its last legs. They ate up all the resources. Capitalism destroyed the environment. It's literally going to kill us if we don't overthrow capitalism. He is saying every single thing out loud.
And it consumes itself. We're in the stage where the snake ate everything. Capitalism ate up all the resources in the world. All the mines and all the freshwater supplies and all the factories and all that stuff was bought up by private industry, bought up as capital. And it was more or less tokenized, right? And that has allowed people to consolidate power more and more throughout history, to the point where we've made laws about busting busting monopolies, right? Antitrust laws. Because when a trust is owned by an individual, they can wield everybody's voice themselves. But then here we are in the early 2000s, and they pass Citizens United they rule in favor of Citizens United versus the FEC, allowing now for corporate personhood. An individual like Warren Buffett or, Donald J. Trump can spend as much as they want in politics, in political campaigning. And essentially that means that whoever has more money has the louder voice. And so in a system that was supposed to be of the people and for the people and by the people who work for IBM have given, Bill Gates all of their voices, right? And that goes for like Mike Liddell, who's going to run for governor here now that Tim Walz is vacating seat. My Pillow guy, he's just a capitalist and he's a fraudster and he's a scammer.
The My Pillow guy is just a capitalist. He's just a fraudster. Mike Lindell becoming the governor of Minnesota, which is never going to happen, by the way, but that's actually pretty fucking funny.
Well, it's his second term. He's not running for a third, and I stand by him. Tim Walz is an amazing governor, but
Thanks, Ken. All evil is created by capitalism. The only way to get rid of evil is to get rid of capitalism. That is the left summed up in a nutshell, Ken. It always and forever comes back to capitalism. Everything the left says, everything the left does is about capitalism. If you are confused about how anything the left says aligns with capitalism, please let me know and I will explain it. Private property is about capitalism. Race is about capitalism because capitalism created racism. Misogyny is about capitalism because capitalism created the social constructs of gender in the first place, which created a hierarchy in which some genders were more equal than others. So it's all about capitalism. The nuclear family is about capitalism because it reproduces the capitalist system. Environmental justice is about capitalism because capitalism created climate change in the first place. Abortion is about capitalism because abortion frees women from the gender binary that keeps them in the nuclear family in an oppressive role of doing the unpaid labor of raising the next generation of proletarian workers. Queer is about capitalism because queer is about undermining the cultural norms that uphold capitalism. What else? Anything else? The unions are about capitalism because the unions are about organizing against the evil capitalists in order to uplift the proletariat. Religion is about capitalism because religion is a coping mechanism to deal with the capitalist oppression of society. What other issue does the left talk about? Give me any issue the left talks about, and I will tell you right now how it is about. The prison system is about capitalism because the police are the managers of private property. The police are the protectors of private property. I was on such a roll. The police are the protectors of private property. And what that means is the police are charged with protecting capitalism above protecting people. By the way, when they say the police, they also mean ICE. They also mean DHS. They also mean CBP. They also mean the military. The military is about capitalism because the military's job is to go and fight imperialist wars in order to steal land from indigenous populations. That is private property ownership under capitalism. Lenin said that imperialism is the highest form of capitalism. The military-industrial complex is all about capitalism. The Israel-Palestine issue is about capitalism because Israel are the evil settler colonists that stole the land from the indigenous Palestinians, and the Palestinians are fighting a decolonization war to overthrow their capitalist oppressors. Do I need to go, what issues have I missed? What issues have I missed? Oh, by the way, trans and kids is also about capitalism. The left is not the left is not in favor. This might surprise people. The left is not in favor of the medicalization of children because they believe capitalism is what is medicalizing children to transition so they can make them lifelong medical patients. They're not actually wrong about that one. That one is actually correct. Sex work is about capitalism because sex work is an ironic commentary on the oppressive nature of the capitalist system. You guys get that? Sex work is inherently capitalist, but they see it as an ironic like criticism of the capitalist system. They're saying, look at what capitalism has done to us. BDSM is about capitalism because it is about exploring capitalist power dynamics in the bedroom consensually, whereas people are unconsensually oppressed by capitalism. Fat liberation is about capitalism because they believe the diet industry is a capitalist construct that is trying to defraud people to make them believe they need to lose weight. Therefore, fat liberation is about overturning the capitalist beauty norms that are created by the diet industry, which is inherently capitalistic. What else have I missed? Have I missed anything else? I think I may have gotten all of them. It's always about capitalism, guys. Always. Always and forever about capitalism. Yo, thanks, Chuck, for the 5 gifted channel memberships. W's to Chuck in the chat. Thanks, Prince, for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Does anyone have any questions about what I just explained to you? We got to make a clip of that. Just cut out the part where I coughed in the middle of it, because that whole rant was fucking brilliant. That was one of the most brilliant. You guys have borne witness to one of the most brilliant fucking rants I have ever done on the internet. So if someone clips that, just clip out the part where I coughed in the middle of it and just make it seem seamless. Make me look fucking cool, man. That's all I'm asking for. That is why the commies are trying to recruit you. Yeah, this is why the communists want me to become communist, because they believe I understand their ideology better than they do. Looks like the protests are over in Los Angeles, guys. If you find any live feeds for any protest coverage that we should be looking at, please do let me know, and I will bring it up on the screen.
This is how he's practicing ethical governance, which is like the peaceful transfer of power and like term limits and all of these things that they have been relying on to keep. I mean, Mitch McConnell's been
I
in the
did
Senate
say
for
reproductive
what, 40
justice. I
years?
did.
You know,
I
like,
said it
these
in
are
there.
dinosaurs.
Reagan, I said abortion is about capitalism because it liberates women from being in the gender binary and the oppressive role within the nuclear family of giving unpaid labor to birth and raise the children and all that stuff. I said it in there.
That have not even been around a normal person for a decade. And they're running our entire country clearly in this like network of people that have been exploiting us, the working class average American, right? All of this bullshit that they're spinning up in the news, all of this confusion, all of that, it's absolute garbage, man. Like, it doesn't exist. It's a fictitious story told to distract us from the reality of it, which is that evil men are doing evil things and they're doing it on our backs. And if we just take away their toys, they can't do it anymore. General strike leads to
general strike,
seizing the means of production. We give back people.
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what was that, Kyle? I'm sorry, what? Hang on. I just need to clip this. Hang on. Hang on. You guys are going to love this.
Which is that evil men are doing evil things and they're doing it on our backs. And if we just take away their toys, they can't do it anymore. General strike leads to seizing the means of production. We give back people, you know, these companies can be owned by their employees, employee-owned companies. Like, let's talk about La Cooperativa in Italy and these things like that, where we institutionalize a portion of our economy to guarantee universal basic rights. And we protect that. And that actually becomes the core of our economy and allows us to grow our economy stronger because everybody is always getting a bigger and bigger piece, right? Yeah. As we collectively profit, our collective grows, right?
For anyone who's confused, he's talking about communism. Wow, that was a good one. Let me just save that clip. All right, I'll clip that later. Fun times. Fun times.
And we also make it so that it can't be exploited anymore. Blockchain and AI and large language and all of these things, if we pick up these tools as individuals and we give that autonomy to individuals,
appreciate it. I'm going to give you a heart, not a W.
With the need
Thank you.
for something like this federal government as exists right now, right? Because when we stop the wasteful, like monopolizing systems, all of that resource just gets fairly distributed back out across the population. We're scared of the concept because it's never been allowed to exist. And it's never been allowed to exist because it was intentionally destroyed in pursuit of capitalism. And we're not going to go into like all this crazy long history about it. But if you do look into it, you kind of just start going down that hole and you realize, wow, they've been repeating this lie for a very long time. Yeah. And the truth of it is, men and we would go out and hunt and we would gather. We would literally walk until our prey laid down and died for us. And then
Do you guys remember the other day when I was explaining to you, some of you may have been here, some of you may not have been here. Do you guys remember the other day when I was explaining that there is a segment within the far left that is an anti-civilization segment? That they literally believe that capitalism was... Yeah, tell us about Sumeria, Kyle. They literally believe that capitalism was created in ancient Sumeria. I promise you, Kyle has read Against the Gender Nightmare. I promise you. They believe that capitalism was created in ancient Sumeria And the only way to undo capitalism is to go back to our hunter-gatherer roots. Did anyone not believe me when did any of you think 2 days ago, you were like, Karlyn, are you sure about this anti-civilization thing? Did you think one in the chat if you thought I was crazy when I explained this 2 days ago? 2 in the chat if you trusted me all along. Kyle's a gender nihilist. You guys don't even know. We haven't even talked about gender nihilism in a long time. Gender nihilism is fuck off insane. 1 in the chat if you thought I was crazy, and now you know I was right. 2 in the chat if you believe me all along. Not many ones, but maybe one or two. I want this to be a lesson to everyone who just put 1 in the chat. Because you're going to learn that when I explain something to you, it's because I've heard them say it in the real world. This is not the first time I've heard this shit. Tell us about Samaria, Kyle.
Repeating this lie for a very long time.
Yeah.
And the truth of it is, men and we would go out and hunt and we would gather. We would literally walk until our prey laid down and died for us, and then we'd all share it together. And because we lived in these communities, these small tribes, and we all took care of each other, we were able to rise up out of scarcity as human beings, like animals, like hundreds of thousands of years ago, probably when this first started happening.
Hundreds of thousands of years ago when this first started happening. He's talking about ancient Sumeria. I cannot believe how good this interview is. Kyle has graced us with this gift again.
We lived in these communities, these small tribes, and we all took care of each other. We were able to rise up out of scarcity as human beings, like animals, like hundreds of thousands of years ago, probably when this first started happening. The hunter-gatherers just did what we need to kind of do inside of this modern world, which is that hyper-local community that communicates and shares and resource, right? And then they communicate with other tribes in the same, they become an individual within the same kind of hyper-local communities. And that's how it should have stacked up. It's the problem when one person says, no, this is my community. You all have to do what I say. No. You have to maintain that autonomy within the smallest community in the same way that community needs its autonomy within the larger community, because that protects it from the exploitation. It protects it from being able to, right now, I mean, what? They're just going to shut off all our power, kill the fucking internet, and put a gun in our face? And what are we going to do about it? Do you have the means to go and feed yourself right now? If the government really...
Well, this is actually an interesting question. Hang on. Let me see if I can find it. This is actually an interesting question. I can't find it right now. I don't remember the guy's name. But there is a man that lives in New Hampshire. The question is, do you think if these people inherited a ton of money, would they still be communists? There is actually a guy who lives in New Hampshire that he is the heir of some big fortune. And I don't remember exactly what that fortune is, but he is the heir of a giant ass fortune. He is like 100 millionaire. He is extremely wealthy with money that he inherited. That guy lives in a shack basically with communist shit hanging everywhere, and he donates all of his money to communist causes that he believes in because he's a communist. He doesn't think he should have that money. So do I think that if they inherited a fuck ton of money, would they still believe in their ideology? Yes, because there is literally someone in New Hampshire that inherited a metric fuck ton of money. And he is a communist with communist shit all over the place where he lives that just gives out the money to communist organizations that he likes because he doesn't think he should have the money. So there's your answer.
Was like that crazy, like Stalin, Russia crazy, and wanted to mass execute people by just famine. Could we stop them? There's a reason that they've fed us all of this stuff, right? The poison in our food, to the prison industrial complex, to the destruction of our culture through the just horrible media that's been pumped into our kids, pumped into our, all of it is just this tiny little group of people, and we know who they are. We don't have to keep feeding the machine. Just fuck off. Fuck off. We're fine without the billionaires and without being able to be billionaires. You can still make your tens, hundreds of millions of dollars and not be a part of the problem. No one's talking about destroying everything and burning the world and the terrorists gonna go bomb stuff. No, I want all these corporations to play nice and give people a fair share of the profit and stop price gouging and extorting their working forces and like destroying the environment, destroying our economy. Why are we allowing that to happen? The violence is coming from them, and in order to stop it, we have to meet it with equal or greater force, right? Yeah. So I'm on. We can end like the bulk of this. Is just like I'm going to take this message that I'm sharing with you on the road, and I'm going to try and sit down with other creators in each one of the occupied cities that we know about right now. I'm going
really
city by city to sit down with boots on the ground people
great.
And talk about this blueprint and how we build hyper-local communities. What
is that it?
Community watch looks like, what rapid response looks like, what direct
is that who it is? Let me look this up. I'm pretty sure you're right, but let me just look this up. James Chambers, communist. Chambers self-describes as a communist and has provided funding for leftist causes. Where is the article that shows his actual place? I know I've seen it. I know I've seen a photo of his place before, which obviously is not in this article. Let me see. Images. Here. Like this is him. This is him. This is him. This is him. This is the guy. He inherited a fuck ton of money because of Cox Media. And I don't know if this is the article where there are pictures, but that is his home. And there are pictures of him with like a communist flag and all this stuff. There he's dressed like a communist. So yeah, that's him. That's who I was talking about. Well done.
Action looks like and what mutual aid looks like and how we can grow these in our own communities. And I'm also going to build that coalition as I go of people that can work with me as we move forward through this. Yeah. And in early March, sometime here in the next month or so, I'm gonna call everybody to DC. We're gonna go have a conversation about it, right? We're gonna go bring all of these communities' voices in a real way to Capitol without this political machine. Yeah. Outside of the party system, we the people are going to get our communities right, and we're going to come.
They are operating outside of the party system. They do not like the Democrats. They do not believe in working with the political parties. They do not believe in voting. They want to violently overthrow the government.
Bring all of these communities' voices in a real way to Capitol without this political machine. Yeah. Outside of the party system, we the people are going to get our communities right, and we're going to come to the table and we're going to really actually ratify the U.S. Constitution in practice, right? We're going to exercise all of our rights as they're meant to be.
We are going to ratify the U.S. Constitution in practice. What do you think that means? We are going to ratify the U.S. Constitution in practice. Does that mean they're going to go through a constitutional convention where they use an orderly process in order to amend the Constitution? Or does that mean that they're just going to start doing whatever the fuck they want? They're going to say the Constitution lets us do this, whether or not the Constitution is changed or not. And they're just going to do whatever the fuck they want. And that really means they're ignoring the Constitution and just having a revolution that is designed to abolish the Constitution. Because that is what ratification means in practice. They're just going to do what they want to do. And they're going to say, the Constitution lets us do it.
Be exercised. And I think there's going to be plenty of pushback from certain areas, and that's fine. We want that. That's what democracy is. It's the actual debate and exchange of ideas. What I challenge people to do is stop arguing about dumb stuff and start talking about how we actually reestablish freedom in America. I want to see every home with its own supply of food. I want to stop seeing waste in our systems. I want to see everybody equally sharing in the profits of their labors in the industries that they participate in. I want to see protections for workers who are on the front lines of pandemics. I want to see protections for workers who are dealing with crises and interventions. I want to see disaster relief for areas hit by floods and burned out of the state. We have people living in trailers years after fucking Palisades fire and stuff. Like what? There's no reason for that. We're the richest nation in the world. We need to start acting like it. And the first step is getting rid of the evil cancer that Donald Trump and his whole little cadre represent. That festering thing that's killing us from the inside out. We know who they are. And the Epstein files just dropped right now. Then we have the information, and it's time to identify and disarm the fucking beast.
Yeah. Hey man, you just put on a hell of a performance. Like this could win an award.
Well, thank you.
No, seriously.
I'm glad you let me get it all out. This is a lot, and I know I've just been talking for like 2 hours, but
you know what?
Yeah.
First of all, I just want to say I salute your courage and your bravery. You know.
Yeah, brother. Thank you.
I saw the direct messages that you shared on Instagram. You know. A lot of trolls, you know, a lot of mean words.
Mean words.
But for you to still, carry yourself with such courage, you know, despite the backlash, that's admirable.
Well, that's a big part of this whole thing is the fear, right?
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to do to us, right? And like, thank you for letting me like come out here and like stand 10 on the message and not the hate. I don't want to respond to them.
Yeah.
But I have to some degree. This is an opportunity to like actually respond like in a healthy way.
Well, one thing I did want to clear up is the you know, people found some pictures of yourself.
Oh yeah.
Cross-dressing.
Yeah.
But then people started to take those photos and apply them to Alex.
Yeah, that was a crazy thing to see. I actually had like fact checkers reaching out to me, and the guy who took the photo actually, fact checkers and debunkers, like all day. Was that yesterday or the day before? Like yesterday, day before, when that all started, I was getting flooded with it. You know, this is what I was talking about, like the information suppression. Like it's not just silencing people; it's creating misinformation. My actual video is gone, right?
Yep.
The footage that I recorded and put up on my Instagram was just blinked out of existence by Meta, but the clips of it have been used to spin a whole different narrative and say that I'm calling for people to shoot at people and all this other stuff. And I didn't say that. And that's not what I'm advocating for. At the same time, I think anybody who's a gun-owning American and understands their rights sees a masked gunman in the street might feel a type of way about it. And I think that we need to be empowered to understand that. And like the government shouldn't be operating the way it is, and we shouldn't be called to have to respond to it. It's an issue of if you don't respond to it, what do you get?
Yeah.
You know?
I just wanted to clear up that those pictures.
Those are not me. That's not Alex Pretty. I'm me in the glitter beard, the whole rainbow pan thing. Like, yeah, I was out all day in Pride Festival dressed up, and I was promoting the drag show performance stuff. Like, am I so scary? Like, am I really a scary person to have around your kids? You know, like, because at the time in like 2023, there's like all this conversation about drag brunches and performances being like baiting children. So me and my daughter went to Pride and dressed up in rainbow glitter and all that stuff and walked around. I had a great time. And then, yeah, somehow they tried to say that was Alex Pretty. And that's just a weird way to spin the narrative and try and disrupt and confuse and manipulate things so that they don't hear my voice. And
this is why we don't make shit up. And this is why we always look at primary source evidence. And this is why we never believe any clickbait content that we see on the internet. Because, guys, it's fine to talk about how he cross-dresses and that he doesn't believe in gender and he's probably a queer Marxist and all this stuff. It's fine to talk about that. That's all true. It's when the conservative bullshit machine starts spinning and creating lies just to create clickbait content on the internet because it's how they all make money. We don't engage in that at all. We always like just ignore clickbait content. You will be so much smarter, I promise you, if you ignore clickbait content.
And they also don't see Alex Purdy as like the veteran nurse, two-way gun owning American that he
They tried
was.
to paint him in a different light.
Yeah, they're trying to make him seem like he's my weird queer self, and like I own my weird queer stuff. I am all the things they hate about Antifa. I'm a union guy that dresses up in women's clothing, and I'm queer, but I'm also a father, and you know I'm covered in tattoos, and I love the Church of Satan's, commandments and stuff. Like
Oh, wow.
I'm
Oh,
a
here we
crazy
go.
leftist. I'm a crazy
Here we
leftist.
go.
Sure, that was the
Here
whole
we
point. when I-
go. Here we go. Okay, you guys want to see me make a piece of conservative clickbait content that will go massively viral on the internet? Does everyone want to make a piece of clickbait content that, like, I just told you not to do this, but do as I say, don't do as I do? Hang on. You guys are gonna love this. We're about to make a nice piece of clickbait content that the fucking conservatives are gonna love. Kyle versus Fuentes would be amazing. That actually would be really good. Okay, hang on. I gotta clip this, and we're gonna do this together as a team. You guys ready?
See Alex Purdy as like the veteran nurse, two-way gun owning American that he
They tried
was.
to paint him in a different light.
Yeah, they're trying to make him seem like he's my weird queer self, and like I own my weird queer stuff. I am all the things they hate about Antifa. I'm a union guy that dresses up in women's clothing, and I'm queer, but I'm also a father, and I'm covered in tattoos, and I love the Church of Satan's, commandments and stuff. Like I'm a crazy leftist. I'm a crazy leftist. Sure, that was the whole point when I started doing I'm Kyle, I'm Antifa. Is like all my tattoos are anti-fascist like memorabilia, like the White Rose movement and Viva la Resistance and the Quick Thing Duck, the Mahayana Buddhist monk who self-immolated in Saigon Square. It all has like these. It's all kind of about the same thing, right? So that's why I was like so outspoken, because when they started saying things like, "Oh, if you're anti-fascist, you're a terrorist, and we're coming for you," I was like, "Well, I'm right here, bro. What are you talking about? I'm a terrorist. I'm just a normal American." And so was Alex Purdy. And it's really funny that they draw the comparison, try to slander him by making him like queer.
Okay, that's it. That's all I need. Okay, give me 1 second, guys. I just need to edit this, and we are gonna make a piece of clickbait content go viral on the internet, and all the conservatives are gonna freak out, and it's gonna be great. Are you guys ready for this? One in the chat if you're ready to make a piece of ridiculous clickbait go viral on the internet. I mean, I know I told you not to do this, and we're not lying. We're not lying. We're not doing what I actually said not to do, which is we're not lying. We're just taking something just slightly out of context and then framing it in a certain way. It doesn't really matter, honestly. It's just like the conservatives are going to fucking orgasm as soon as they hear Kyle say that he believes in like the Church of Satan. So just hang on 1 second. 1 sec. Hang on. I just got to clip it at the right spot. It's going to be great. Give me 1 more minute. I know you guys can't hear this, but 1 sec. I'm almost done. Okay. Hang on. I got it. Okay. Antifa Kyle admits being a Satanist. This is how we get conservatives to respond to content, guys. We have to, oh, you guys could hear it? We have to speak in language that they understand. Are you guys ready to make this go viral on Twitter? Hopefully Twitter lets me upload the video. This will take 2 seconds. Okay. Breaking. Antifa Kyle Wagner says he is a Satanist. He also says he is a queer union member or something. What else? What else should we say? What else should we say? That seems to be good. Maybe we just say breaking. Antifa Kyle says he's a Satanist. We don't have him on video saying he's Jewish though, is the thing. Okay, hang on. Let me just listen one more time. Here, you guys can watch this. Okay, we're doing this live. We're tweeting this live. And then once I tweet this, you guys are gonna all help me retweet this, okay? You guys, we all need to wordsmith this together.
Weird queer stuff. I am all the things they hate about Antifa. I'm a union guy that dresses up in women's clothing, and I'm queer, but I'm also a father, and you know, I'm covered in tattoos, and I love the Church of Satan's, you know, commandments and stuff, you know, like I'm a crazy leftist. I'm a crazy leftist. Sure. That was the whole point when I started doing I'm Kyle, I'm Antifa, is like all my tattoos are anti-fascist, like memorabilia, like the White Rose movement and Viva la Resistance and the Quick Thing Duck.
Okay, here is the clip. Here is the tweet. Here is the tweet. Breaking. Antifa Kyle Wagner says he is a Satanist. He says he is all the things the right hates about Antifa and is a crazy leftist. This clip is from an interview he gave 4 days ago. Okay, we're posting. It's live. I'm going to put the link in the chat. Okay, now here is what I need everyone to do with the link. Make this go viral. Here is what I need everyone to do. I need you to bookmark the tweet. I need you to heart the tweet. I need you to reply to the tweet. I need you to retweet the tweet. And I need you to quote tweet the tweet. I need you to do all 5 of those things. If everyone in the chat right now does all 5 of those things, we will make this go viral on the internet. And that's just good fun, guys. This isn't important. This is not going to change the world. This is just for fun. Okay? This is just for fun. Sometimes it's okay to have fun on the internet. So I need everyone to do 5 things, and I don't want to hear any excuses. Bookmark the tweet. Like the tweet. Reply to the tweet. This is crazy. Say whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. Just reply to the tweet, okay? Retweet the tweet and then quote tweet the tweet and say whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Again, just don't start it with an @ symbol. Start it with a real letter. But other than that, do whatever you want. But just do all 5 of those things, and we will make this go viral on Twitter, and it'll be really funny, and it'll show what retards conservatives are and how easy they are to manipulate. Because if you say Satan, listen, guys, if you say that an Antifa member is a Satanist, that's all that's required. That's it. That's all conservatives care about. They're going to go, oh no, Jesus, they're attacking religion. He's a Satanist. They're all Satan worship. They're going to have a fucking fit over it, and it's going to be funny. All right. Has everyone done it? Everyone done it? You guys good? Has everyone done all 5 things? Not 4 things, not 3 things, not 2 things, all 5. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Or whatever, and trying to paint him as me, because honestly we knew each other in the community, and like as like he was not the furthest thing from what they're trying to paint him to be.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You know,
I never met him before,
but of course that they're going to twist that up. But they took down, you could have gone and seen that post on my Instagram if they hadn't taken my Instagram down. And you could have seen that it was from Pride 2022 or 2023.
It's definitely going to be a tizzy.
And that's how they manipulate us. That's how they can. It's a weapon that they're using, really.
With the artificial intelligence, that makes things worse.
That's a whole other nightmare.
Now we're seeing images that if you're an adult, you're able to tell the difference, but I believe some kids might not be able to.
Well, and even a lot of adults that aren't super tech savvy too, like my parents,
some older people.
Yeah, what they did to Nakima Armstrong when the president photoshopped her face crying. Nakima is one of the most powerful women I've ever met in my life, and I've followed her through all this Black Lives Matter stuff. That woman is never crying in public over somebody putting her in handcuffs. She's been through this before. And for them to that's defamation and slandering, such an insidious way too, though, because they're showing this powerful black woman, leader, attorney, voice of the people in handcuffs. And the actual picture was her just proud and like powerful. And then they use AI to do that kind of to her while she's in custody for 2 days on bogus charge. It's insanity. And people fall for it in a really bad way. That's why they have to silence people like me who speak out. So I don't follow their rules about how to speak and stuff. And so it spread really far, I think, because of that, because people understood exactly what I was saying. I wasn't talking in some code speak that they couldn't figure out. It was like, oh, wow, this guy just said, go get your guns. They're killing people in the streets and no one's coming to save us. You know, I didn't say unaliving and the big bad terrorist guys are in town. You should be careful. No, we're getting shot at. They're dying. Like that. My neighbor just got murdered, executed nine shots. You know what's crazy? If you watch that video, I'm 100% convinced, and the reports that I've talked to, the people who eyewitnessed it, when the guy pulled his gun out of his holster, he took a couple of steps, and the first shot came out of Alex Preddy's gun. And that triggered the fear execution by the other two officers.
Oh, wow.
I honestly think that's what happened. I can't prove it, but I think there's plenty of evidence. And if you watch the video, you'll see what I see. I think the first shot came out of Preddy's gun on its way away from him. When the other two officers heard that, they had 9 in him.
Last thing I want to bring up, and then we gone.
We gone.
A great topic to wrap it up on. There's a legendary rap duo called Mobb Deep.
What?
R.I.P. the Prodigy.
The Prodigy, bro.
One of their most famous songs is called Shook Ones. And Prodigy begins the song by rapping, there's a war going on outside, nobody's safe. Okay? Now, I've been living here in the Twin Cities area for the past 2 years. And so as I get older,
I didn't see your message yet, but I will, I promise.
And I've actually taken more interest in politics more than I ever have. Okay?
As you have to, right?
Exactly. Because when we were growing up, we were told to stay away from 2 types of conversations, religion and politics.
I know it.
But nowadays, I feel like those conversations, especially the politics, it's important.
Yeah.
To know what's going on in your world, to know what's going on in your community, right? So with the ICE protests going on in Minnesota, and we've seen 2 U.S. citizens being killed. There's been over 3,000 immigrants arrested here in Minnesota the past couple months, including a 5-year-old that was detained.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. Dude.
So the final question, topic, subject, I just want your thoughts on is, with you being, outside frontline, right?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts? What's your perspective on the lack of support from Black America in this fight against ICE? Because Black America.
Why isn't Black? Someone asked me like a couple weeks ago. They were like, Karlyn, why aren't we seeing more riots like the Black Lives Matter stuff? And because it is true, there are far less riots going on in Minneapolis right now than there were doing the Black Lives Matter stuff. And literally my answer was, there are no Black people involved. Like, there aren't any Black people. And so that's why we aren't seeing riots, because it's all white people this time. And there are no Black people. Like, no offense, Black people, but I'm telling the truth about Black community. I'm telling the truth. I'm not trying to be racist. I would never do that. I love smart Black people that don't riot and loot. I have no problem with smart Black people who riot and loot and are just or don't loot rather, and are just upstanding citizens of society and don't speak in ebonics. Like, I mean, I come on. But like, but I apparently I was right, because now they're saying, why aren't more black people protesting ICE?
Yeah, I just want to include.
I'm here for this one. No, I'm here for this one.
When I asked my friends, everybody's kind of like,
hey,
shit, that ain't our fight.
But
that ain't got nothing to do with us.
Yeah, well, it is and it isn't, right? So there's, okay, let me preface this by saying I'm a white man that's been front lines in Black Lives Matter since Black Lives Matter became a thing. I ran from Denver with some friends straight to Ferguson, Missouri when Mike Brown was killed. We showed up as things were burning in the middle of like the riots and stuff out there. And I've carried that, the lessons I've learned about my activism and that have encouraged me to speak up against that white supremacist and encouraged me to do what I'm doing in the streets and like bringing gas masks and frontliners to stand 10 to the police and confront them, right? I'm not doing mutual aid. I'm chasing ICE around. I'm confronting them like Alex Preddy did because I have the privilege to do that.
Really?
I'm pretty safe and I'm pretty scared.
Can you reply to the tweet with that screenshot? Because that's actually fucking hilarious. I appreciate you doing that. Yeah, shit.
As a white man in America, right? But it's every community that needs to have that, right? So the black community is not safe. They're coming for you next. Don't think that this stops with the brown folk. They're already kidnapping U.S. citizens. They've got 6 Ogallala Sioux tribe members in custody, First Nations people in custody that we don't even know where they are. They have been, I mean, I have white friends that have been beaten brutally for protesting. So, there's going to come a point where they're going to want to start coming after anybody that they see as a target. And we know that first and black folk in this.
Well, Queer Eye for the Straight Guy was created in a different time when queer Marxism was not entirely developed as it is today. So there were Queer Eye for the Straight Guy was created basically around the time period when queer started emerging. This is actually a more complicated answer than you're looking for, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. Queer was evolving as a more popular like pop culture. Okay, so here's what happened. I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, I know, was being produced in the early 2000s. Queer as an anti-capitalist ideology hadn't fully permeated the public consciousness at that point. And there was basically a war between the capitalist gays and the queer communists, essentially. This is the same time period where the queer Marxists were really fighting with the more liberal normie gays. And so there was an active kind of like civil war taking place between the left, between the normie gay Democrats who just wanted gay marriage and the anti-communist queers. And basically at that time, the normie gays won for a brief period of time. They won basically in that their campaign for gay marriage started picking up steam. They won gay marriage eventually. Queer anti-communists never wanted gay marriage to be legalized because they perceive it as adhering to capitalist normative values. They think marriage is a propertied relationship. So when Queer Eye first started being created, it was one of those things where it was a normie. You have to understand the context, understand the language use. It was a normie Democrat liberal version of what was going on, where they thought it was about like gay marriage and equal rights and treating everyone normally. That's how they were positioning it as, because there was a civil war going on in the left between, do we go for gay marriage or do we not go for gay marriage? And the far left, the queer Marxists, are vehemently against that. So that's why you probably saw that prop up. It was a piece of propaganda meant to like normalize like gay culture in order to get gay marriage, essentially. That was a super chat question to you that day?
Country have always taken this shit for us, bro. Listen, I came up on Huey Newton's principles. Okay, I was raised properly by some really intelligent black leadership in this to shut up and listen and know where my place was. But also, when my place was front and center, You are obligated to speak. That means I am not here to speak in black spaces, but I'm here to listen and to carry that message into white spaces where when someone says some ignorant shit, I have a duty to speak. Because there's a German saying, I love this one, and this is going to be a great way to end this. There are 9 people sitting at a table and a Nazi sits down and no one gets up to leave. You have 10 Nazis sitting at that table, right?
Sadly, at the moment, we can't super chat on Twitter, but you're welcome to come over to YouTube and send a super chat, or you could subscribe on my Twitter channel if you want. It's not going to send it any special message, but if you want to support my work on Twitter, you can subscribe in my account, and that'll give me like $5 a month or something like that. But you can also just come over to YouTube. YouTube is way better anyway.
If you're going to allow this to happen to your neighbors, you're going to allow it to happen to you. Silence is violence, and we said that in the streets after George Floyd. We said that all over the place, right? If you're not willing...
Yeah, or actually, Reagan, that's a great idea. If you want to super chat on Twitter, you can send a Cash App or Venmo to Dr. Karlyn B. That's a great idea. I wouldn't have thought of that. Silence is violence. I love that silence is violence is making a comeback. Thank you, Kyle.
Allow this to happen to your neighbors, you're going to allow it to happen to you. Silence is violence, and we said that in the streets after George Floyd. We said that all over the place, right? If you're not willing to stand against it, then you stand for it. And so this may not be your frontline fight. The black community may not need to be out there fighting ICE. I have a bunch of white friends that are more than happy to go box with them, right? Now, would we have a lot more fun with the cookout along for the ride? Please and thank you. Bring the fucking barbecues out. I want to see the fucking whole community out there. And without the fear too. But like, here's also the thing, right? Like the black community has been like kept from a lot of this. So like, I want to see legal 2A representation. I want to see people prepared for getting tear gassed and shit. Because I don't want to see people coming out to get hurt for it, right? The black community has been brutalized in this country for 400 years of history, right? This isn't your fight in that, yeah, I don't want to ever see any person of color have to go and fight for their rights again. That really is up upon us as a white community to step up and like deal with, right? But I've learned from the guidance of the black community, my activism is wholly rooted in and entirely educated on direct action through the civil rights movement, right? So I think that when you guys see your moment, you'll show up. I've talked to a lot of people in Chicago and a lot of people in Philly and Boston and New York and LA and San Diego that are absolutely behind what I've been talking about, right? So when white folk do stand up, which we are collectively, like there's a pretty massive movement of, you know, white folks that are finally getting it because it's close enough to home. Don't think that you should just sit at home when we do stand up, right? Like join us in that, and maybe not necessarily obligatory, like loudly, just being there. When we go out to march, come out. Just like we tried to do during Black Lives Matter and just be there in support of your voices. Help us deal with our own fucking people too, right? Because then when this is all done, we're going to party about it. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to know who's who and what's what, and we're going to be able to trust each other. Like I'm trusted in the black community, and I trust black community in my space.
Yo, we got a super chat from Anti-Commie. Thank you. Silence equals violence, and violence is not the answer. Is it the question? It is the question, and if it's as easy as being silent for commies, the answer is, well, you have to understand that communists also believe that capitalism is violence, because capitalism is literally killing them. So that's why they call everyone who is not a communist a fascist, because capitalism is literally violence that is literally killing them. And therefore, because capitalism is violence, they have the right to defend themselves from the violent capitalist system using violence. They believe they can use real violence against capitalists because capitalists are oppressing them with violence. Do you understand?
Because we've had that chance to like reconcile through this exact kind of process, right? Sorry, my voice is shot from this fucking CS gas. I have to cough it out. I got to cough it. Oh, bro, several times. I got green gassed. I've been CS gassed a few times because I've been watching. So when they pop this stuff off, you know, we're kind of trying to keep tabs on them. But like these hotel protests and stuff, I'm the guy out here like, get a gas mask, and then I'm fucking don't have it on my fucking head when the time comes. You know, it's just proper stupid shit. But
well, we'll conclude here, man. If you could just leave a message for the youth that's watching.
Yeah, man. Pay attention, kids. Document everything. You know, the young people that are, you know, fresh in high school, coming out of high school, in college, you need to be studying what's happening right now, and you need to be the voice that determines the history. We can't let the politicians write this one out. We need cameras. We need learn from this and be prepared to build a better world in the wake of what we take apart here from these fascists that are in charge.
Sounds great, Kyle. Thank you.
Well, there y'all have it, man. I think we just...
All right. Well, that is Antifa Kyle. We now know that Kyle is the real thing. He is Antifa. He is a queer Marxist. He understands all this shit. He spoke all the craziest talking points. And you know what, guys? I think that Kyle has given us a beautiful and glorious gift. Because Kyle's going to keep creating content on the internet, and I want Kyle to keep creating content on the internet, because Kyle's going to go talk to a bunch of commies, and he's going to record it, and he's going to put it on the internet. This is like, Kyle is going to be feeding us content for as long as Kyle is active on the internet, and I welcome Kyle to our world. Kyle, I would like to talk to you. If you want to come talk to me on my channel, I will let you say whatever you want. You can look up my interview with Chandler and know that I was very fair to him, even though I disagree with everything Chandler believes. I disagree with all the crazy shit you believe, including the stuff about capitalism being created in ancient Sumeria, although I do understand the arguments you're making. So Kyle, if you want to come on my channel, I would be thrilled to have you. I will clear my schedule. You can come on anytime. I would really appreciate it. The audience would love it, and it would be great. So, guys, that is all we have for today. It doesn't look like there's any protest stuff going on right now. If there is protest stuff, I promise that I will come back later and cover it. There is going to be noise protesting tomorrow, I know. So I know there's going to be stuff going on tomorrow. Also, this weekend is going to be lit. This weekend is going to be lit, guys. Jake Lang is going back to Minneapolis. I don't know if they're doing something on Friday again, so I don't know about that. But this Saturday is going to be lit. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're coming for protest coverage. I will be covering protests and rioting as long as there are streamers there, as long as we can cover it. I will, of course, be doing our regular streams as well, Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Socialism Saturday on Saturdays at 6 p.m., unless we're doing riot coverage and stuff like that. And I will let you guys know if there are any upcoming spy streams. I don't have any more scheduled. Well, I don't think I have any more scheduled for this week. Hang on, let me check. Oh, there might be something. No, that's next week, Karlyn. Learn how to read a calendar. There might be a there might be a spy. There are going to be spy streams next week. I don't currently have any spy streams scheduled for the rest of this week. That doesn't mean there won't be a spy stream. It just means I don't currently have one scheduled. So there are multiple spy streams coming up next week. If you guys hear about any leftist trainings that you want us to infiltrate, please do let me know. I would really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who sent in super chats. Thank you to everyone who donated 123 new channel memberships. Welcome to the 123 new channel members. We love you being here. Thank you for being a part of our cult. We appreciate it. Thank you, guys. I will be back when I'm back. Take care. We'll see you soon.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.